starter, if you're contributing, blah, 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 making plays, it goes up from there. He's got it, according to the report in The Athletic, he's got a scale sheet, and he slides it across the table. Here's what you make when you come in. If you become a starter, you make this, and this. And that's the Kirby way of doing it. Kirby Smart way of doing it.
You know, the guy that's at the center of a lot of this was with Kirby, Jaden Rashada, who's hit the portal again. I don't know where he'll end up.
You know why?
Because
he got this much money, but he didn't become the starter.
That's right.
Yeah,
I know. I mean, he was at the center of the controversy with Florida, goes to Arizona State, goes to Georgia. He's about to play for his fourth team, and the kid's not even taking a meaningful snap yet.
Yeah. And some of these kids are not even in the room, according to the story, when it comes to NIL. They are like, when it became time to discuss NIL, I just left my mom and dad in there, and I went and did other things. Hung out with some other players.
Wow.
Yeah. All right. It is trash time. It is brought to you by our friends at Mortgage Right. Tyler's deer hunting later today afterwards with a big Supreme orange on. They can't even see you, Tyler. Hit that button.
Do you realize the last time Auburn and Texas played basketball against each other?
I know Auburn's never been in Austin, but when was the last time we played?
1955.
I mean, Dunaway, you were born then, right?
Oh, I knew it was coming.
LT's Trash is presented by Mortgage Right. Mortgages done the right way.
Hey, if you're looking for a new home, our friends at Mortgage Right here to help. Whether you're a first-time buyer or a seasoned home buying veteran, their great service and low rates make the process easy. Speaking of veterans, veteran founded right here in Birmingham. So remember, whether you're looking for your final home, your first home, whether you have a big down payment or need 100% financing, Mortgage Right, one-stop shop for mortgages. Visit them online, mortgageright.com. Call that Birmingham office, 205-900-7200, NMLS 2239, Equal Housing Lender. So have you guys ever been in a self-driving car? Not like a Tesla.
I have not.
Oh, I have little T and I at the Final Four took.
I remember this.
Was it Waymo?
I can't remember the name brand of it, but we took a ride to breakfast from the hotel. We were going to do it all the way to meet Charles Barkley for dinner, but it was so far away it was out of its zone. So I guess it was still testing. But that's exactly the way it looked. Yeah.
Okay. Well, the Waymo self-driving company says it has fixed a problem that caused a car to repeatedly circle a parking lot for about 5 minutes while its rider was trying to get to the airport.
That's a small problem.
Now, last month, Mike Johns posted a video on LinkedIn showing what happened after he was picked up by a Waymo self-driving car in Scottsdale, Arizona.
That's where we got ours. We were in Scottsdale, Arizona, that area.
John's post said the car made 8 circles after Waymo's support agent helped get the car moving in the right direction, was driven to the airport in time to make his flight. He went on to say, quote, "Why is this happening to me on a Monday? I'm in a Waymo car, and this car is just going in circles. I got a flight to catch. Why is this thing going in a circle? I'm getting dizzy." Now, during the video, John spoke with a Waymo customer support rep. Quote, "It's circling around a parking lot. I've got my seatbelt on. I can't get out of the car. Has this been hacked? What's going on? I feel like I'm in the movies. Is somebody playing a joke on me?" He told the rep. He also asked the Waymo rep if the company would, quote, take care of the flight if he missed it. Support rep told Johns, quote, "I don't have an option to control the car. I'm trying to pull it over now."
So that was what I was going to ask. If I'm in a Waymo in Nashville and we're going down Broadway and I see my friends or my family, but I was supposed to go to the end of Broadway, can you stop it? I mean, what happens then?
I cannot remember if there's a push button to end ride.
There has to be.
There is a pullover function
Okay.
where
Okay.
the rider can tap the
somebody
button
could get
and
sick.
the
I mean,
car
there-
will find a safe place to stop.
Okay.
Yeah, there could be a lot of different things going on. Now,
I was not looking for it. I was very nervous.
From the creators of The Next Round comes 2 new sites, covercrimson.com and thebarnauburn.com. 2 team sites with the same excitement and information-driven content that you get every day on The Next Round. Live daily shows, recorded shows, free of charge, plus premium content with insider information starting at just $1. And it's the perfect gift for the Alabama or Auburn fan in your family. Covercrimson.com or thebarnauburn.com. Sign up today.
Start your day online with our website, nextroundlive.com, for the latest videos, podcasts, and college football stories. It's also a great way to stream the show or shop in the Next Round store. Stay connected by visiting nextroundlive.com.
Everything Next Round is on demand now in the podcast section at nextroundlive.com. Call the Next Round now at 205-734-0923. Jim Dunaway, Lance Taylor, Ryan Brown, Live from the Birmingham Racecourse Casino Studios, the next round, presented by Bud Light, is on now.
Man, good news for one NFL playoff team. We'll get some playoffs. I woke up today. I send Taylor some headlines every morning. Right out of bed, I sent, can't wait for...
But she loves that.
Well, she requested. She sends it out every morning at 7 o'clock for the show at Next Round Live, part of our guest list. So she asked for me to send 3 headlines that we're going to do on the show. So I send her 3 headlines. Auburn wins. College football playoffs start tonight. And she sends back, college football playoffs still another day. You got to wait another day.
Settle down, Jeff.
Settle down. But we'll talk to Roman Harper about the playoffs today on the show. Skip Holtz is back with us today. Maybe we'll start, because it's so cold here in Birmingham, we'll start anticipating our next trip down to the Gulf of America. A lot to get to on the show today, but we'll start.
Did you see that story? Have you even seen it?
Yeah. Trump.
Yeah. Which, by the way, I don't hate the name. It'll take a little getting used to, like the Washington Commanders, but I don't hate Gulf of America.
There's something exotic about the Gulf of Mexico.
I feel like I'm leaving the country.
Yeah, which is probably why it was named that way to start with, right?
Yeah, I really don't want to. I like where his head is, but I think I would keep it Gulf of Mexico.
We covered one of the new bowl games in Toronto.
That's true, yeah.
We got Canada now, too.
Up in Skydome.
I texted, and I was talking to the guys behind the glass, but I texted Clay this morning about, does his property value go up if his house is no longer on the Gulf of Mexico but on the Gulf of America? I'm sure it is. He hasn't responded yet. And I also pointed out, I said, if Canada is a state now, are they mandated to play college football? And is that a Big Ten expansion market at that point? Because they've got some good TV markets in Toronto and Montreal.
Yeah, they just don't play football.
That's right.
Yet. If they become
this feels so short.
We get to play another down?
I know.
This is amazing.
How often do you call it by its proper name, though, the Gulf of Mexico?
I usually say down to the Gulf.
Me too. Or I usually say down to the beach, and that's saying the Gulf if you live in Alabama.
I mean, I have referenced the Gulf of Mexico before, but normally it's the Gulf, the coast.
Just going down to the Gulf.
I don't think this impacts me one way or the other.
I mean, Dunaway just says 38, right?
Not anymore. I turned in when we started.
We're Orange Beach now.
That's right. Yeah, I'm back Orange Beach. I used to be Orange Beach all the time. And then things changed, and I became a Destin 30A guy. And then now I'm back to Orange Beach with our friends at the Floribama. So, but can't wait. By
the way, it's cold down there, too.
We got to throw if we actually do change it to Gulf of America, we got to go to the Floribama and celebrate the day that it officially becomes the Gulf of America. That's a must-do for our show. If it officially becomes the Gulf of America,
no
can you
imagine? Need to do the show, a party at the Floribama.
That's right, yes.
I do think that there is a long list of priorities before Gulf of America. But if it does happen, Floribama is going to celebrate it like none other.
I don't know. That loud lady from Florida, I think she's a representative, the blonde-haired lady who's always on the news. I don't know anybody's name.
I think she's from Georgia. I think I know who you're talking about.
Marjorie?
Yeah, she's Georgia.
Nancy Grace?
Yeah. She's from Georgia, and it could be any of them. But she instantly says, I've already got my staff working on an official bill to get it into Congress to make it the Gulf of America. So
let's just legalize gambling and weed in all states before. then we can circle back around to that.
It's a fun time to be alive, especially if you're an Auburn Tiger in basketball. That's where we'll start today in our opening segment with Auburn, the number 2 team in the country. The path to be number 1 in the AP poll is open up because of Florida annihilating Tennessee. And I was giving people credit that you said, I don't know if it was on the show or in the commercial break, that Florida was going to win the game. And you didn't say they were going to win it by 30. Such a historic game. You've got to go back to Houston, 1968, getting beat by John Wooden's UCLA team. When UCLA beat them 32 in the Final Four, the last time an unbeaten number 1 team lost by that many points.
Well, that was a tough watch. I give Todd Golden and Florida a lot of credit because people were like, good team, but man, they gave up 106 to Kentucky. What do? They go out and they give up 43 to Tennessee. Tennessee
15 in the first half.
Yeah, 4 shots in the first 20 minutes. I mean, that was complete. That was an annihilation. And by the way, Florida's offense against one of the top 3, 4, 5 defenses in all of college basketball didn't look good.
0 of 14 from 3 in the first half was Tennessee. It was their 24th three-pointer before they finally made one. That's only 4 shots better than what I did at Neville Arena in my bracket payoff. I was 1 of 28. They were 1 of 24. They finished 4 of 29.
Jazz Lanier is trying to be this year's version of Dalton Knecht, and he was 3 of 16. When you look at the box score, this is what the old Cumulus basketball team we were on used to look like.
Chuck and Duck, right?
Yeah, I mean, we would get beat by about 30. We would score around 40 points. They shot 21%. They were 4 of 29 behind the arc, 15 of 25 free throws. I mean, this was us.
Yep. That was you.
That was us.
You are him.
But Tennessee is not supposed to. Like, I thought Tennessee would lose. I thought Florida would cover the 3.5. I pulled back. I didn't play it, by the way, 4-2 last night in college hoops.
You didn't play it?
I didn't play it.
Oh, man.
But I did talk about it. It wasn't in break. It was on the air. I did like Florida last night. I had no idea that they would, like, complete destruction.
Landmine Believer in the MyBookie.ag chat room says this is who Tennessee is under Barnes. Like 4 or 5 times a year, they have these games where they just cannot score. Even with Knecht, they did it last year.
Yeah. And Florida didn't have their student section there either. That place was rocking and would have been rocking even more. That Florida team's good.
No, they're definitely good. I mean, Todd Golden's got a really good team. You know, we talked about it yesterday. We were talking about the fact that I mentioned that I was out and about on Saturday and was listening on Sirius XM to the Florida radio crew for Florida, Kentucky. And the play-by-play guy asked the analyst, is there no defense or is it just great offense? Well, I think you saw last night, like you just said, Florida's got good defense. I mean, I know Tennessee just wasn't hitting shots, but you got to say somebody's playing good defense when a team only scores 15 points in a half.
Well, I mean, if Florida
number one team in the country
can win games holding teams to 43, they had every opportunity to win against Kentucky on Saturday, scoring in the hundreds. But with Florida's backcourt, you said it yesterday, man, this is like an Elite 8 team. Florida could legitimately, I mean, they're Final Four talent.
Could win the national championship.
Oh, yeah.
There's a few of those in the SEC. We bring up Florida to open the door for the fact that Auburn on Monday could be the AP number 1 team. Auburn did what they were supposed to do last night. Cut number 1, Tyler. This is Rodney Terry after his Texas team got down 21 in the fourth quarter, fought back to only lose 87-82. He threw, what's the phrase you hate?
Flowers.
He gave Auburn their flowers.
You know, that's a good team over there. That's a Final Four caliber team over there. You know, that's the best team I've seen all year long. They got great length. They make nothing easy for you. Yeah, they're number 2 for a reason in the country, not just by chance. That's an older team over there. They got the MVP of the Southeastern Conference Championship a year ago, and you know they've already been through the battles of this conference with the guys that they started put on the floor. So, older team in that regard. I don't fault our guys' effort in terms of how hard we played. We're Texas. We don't rest with more victories. But we do give our opponents a lot of respect. This was a really good team. It's the best team I've seen all year on tape. And I thought we battled and competed hard to the very end tonight.
There's just no let up in this Auburn team. You can't find, and they're going to lose some games, but you just can't find a spot where you can take a breath.
Yeah, like even, having Steven on yesterday, we were talking about one-possession games. Even in their loss to Duke, they looked like the better team. That really was a one-possession game in Cameron. Real quick, though, Rodney Terry, if Giancarlo Esposito...
I've always thought that.
...had a kid with Tone Loc.
Okay. I see a ton of Giancarlo Esposito.
A lot of it is the glasses.
Yeah. Well, I think from like bottom of the nose up, he is 100%.
And complexion, but you hear the voice, the eyes. He's got a little Tone Loc too.
Yep, I'm with you. The voice puts it over the top.
I give Texas credit though. They didn't hit a 3 in the first half. They were completely dominated, down 12, and then they were able to scrap and claw. And as much as they were dominated in the paint against Texas A&M, I mean, they hung in there with Auburn. Auburn was just, they're a better team, and Texas is doing this with a lot of transfers.
Now, with all that said, their Ken Pom strength of schedule is 305, so I'm assuming Auburn is by far and away the best team he's seen when your strength of schedule is 305. Again, what we're seeing in the Southeastern Conference is not all these double-digit win teams have been created equally, right? You've got Alabama, you've got Auburn. For last night, it was much easier to say this. You got Tennessee. Like, I trust their strength of record better than I do Texas. You pointed it out when Alabama beat Oklahoma. Great win. Strength schedule wasn't really there for Oklahoma. Does this even remain a quad 1 win? I don't know what happens with Texas.
Well,
they're now 0-2 in conference.
I mentioned Chaz Lanier, kind of what Rick Barnes wants to be the next Dalton Knecht, but really Arthur Kaluma That kid, he's been multiple places, Creighton to Kansas State. He's in his 4th year of college basketball. He's averaged double figures. But that guy was doing absolutely everything last night. On the boards, blocking shots, went for 34.
Yeah,
34. Texas has got some talent.
34 points there for him. I thought Chad Baker-Mazara did a really good job on.
He missed a free throw.
On Trey Johnson. He missed a free throw after the hook and hold injured his shooting shoulder. He made the first one and missed the second one, 51 straight, a school record. He missed the 52nd one after having to shoot the penalty. The flagrant one foul is what he was shooting because it was a shoulder injury, and he was sort of stretching that out, made the first one, and then left the second one a little short.
What's he shooting, 93% now from the stripe?
Yeah.
It's amazing. And, we talked about him a couple of weeks ago. I think he's going to be a really good contributor at the next level just because he can defend, so athletic, and he's a shot maker.
All that said, did we learn last night what we thought already is playing on the road is going to be brutal in the SEC.
I mean, a bigger topic here. We'll get back to Auburn in a second, but that's why, to your point about where the league division line is, everybody had a great pre-conference. I'm interested to see Arkansas tonight against Ole Miss. Arkansas, a home game now, not on the road at Tennessee. Ole Miss on the road, not a home game. How does that play for Arkansas? And I'm really interested to see Oklahoma back at home against Texas A&M. They failed the test in Tuscaloosa on the road. Is part of that Alabama's so good and they were on the road? Can Oklahoma come back and beat Texas A&M tonight? Then that gives me a little bit more faith that Oklahoma can hold their water down the road.
To your point, 13 games have been played in the SEC. What do you think the home team's record is?
11-2. No, excuse me, 10-3 now.
10-3?
Very good. Dunaway, it's like
he's the basketball guy.
Yeah. I forgot last night that Mississippi State also beat.
It is 10-3.
10-3. I would just say Auburn. I mean, that was a 5-point game that really didn't feel like a 5-point game. In fact,
But boy, when they cut it to 3 twice under 33 seconds.
They cut it to 3, and then Denver Jones made the free throws to put it back to 5, and you're like, okay, this game's over. And then Denver Jones fouls, and you're like, okay, well, they're right back at the stripe. But just cut it to 3,
Speaking of fouls, I want to say this. It was a missed call on Johni Broome, and I really believe that you got 3 officials. I don't know how nobody sees him get hit in the head like this. There's even an upward motion a little bit, and we review everything. But Jeanty did chew on him a little bit running down the floor. But to me, if you're an official and you may have missed a call, I let a guy chew a little bit. I let him vent a little bit and don't throw a tee at him. I sort of give you a chance to, I don't know exactly what he said, but I would imagine it wasn't too bad.
That's one of those.
I thought it was a quick tee.
You look the other way.
And that could have been a big factor in the game.
Oh, it could have been huge, yeah.
Forrester disagrees with you in the chat room. And Forrester, Auburn guy.
Why is Forrester disagreeing with me in the chat and not in the microphone?
I don't know. There you go. Scott, you got a microphone.
Well, I don't control my mic.
Well,
but
you disagree.
You can't get in the ref's face.
Well, I mean, technically the ref was also right there with him.
Can't do it.
You turn around and they're there. They're face to face.
Janai's played too much. You can't do that. Yeah. Just go to the other end, play defense.
As a guy who has officiated one spring football game and used to do some rec league basketball, and umpired a lot of baseball, you got to just not listen to other people when they're chewing on you. Let them chew a little bit, unless they
I've officiated. I've never thrown it. I've been thrown out of plenty of games, but I've never thrown anybody out.
The only person I ever threw out of baseball was the guy who literally picked me up off the ground, and I had to throw him out then because he picked me up off the ground.
Weren't you in the air when you threw him up?
No, I was in the air when I pointed out.
Boy, how demeaning is that? So one of the players picked you up?
No, it was the coach. I was probably 16, 17, 18 years old doing a 11 to 12-year-old all-star game down in Columbia.
So this would have been assault and battery today?
I wouldn't have sued.
No. I'm saying, though, if a coach picks up a 16 or 17-year-old today.
Oh, yeah. I may have been 18, 19, but he was a grown-ass man. And I got the call.
Is that when people used to smoke on the diamond?
Yeah, I think you could smoke right outside of the dugout.
So you got the call right, though.
Oh, yeah. He just couldn't see it from his dugout. The ball fell out of the guy's glove, and he was blocked by his guy diving back in. I was a third base ump. I had one call all night. That was it.
So when y'all went to video, it did confirm?
There was no videos.
They didn't even have the VHS. That was the old roller or whatever.
No. We walked into the cave, and
left.
No, we walked into the cave and checked out the sketch drawings on the replay.
Wow. Hey, but the guys catch you up in the air and you go, "You're out of here!"
Yeah, I did in a high pitched voice. You're out of here. Yeah. And then the guy behind home plate, who was the Shelby County sheriff deputy, he was a deputy. He went to the car during the inning break and had put his pistol down in that outside.
Where was
protector.
Babby Hocutt and Lisa Black and Sly Fox and all those?
They didn't travel on the road.
I'm glad he didn't get the gun confused with his indicator. Ball one.
I was nervous the whole game. Every foul tip that hit that chest protector. If they're mad about a missed call, what if we shoot the catcher in the back? Oh, Mr. Brakefield. He was fantastic. We had a lot of fun.
So dude was
around.
packing heat behind the play, huh?
Yeah, it was great.
Don't worry,
unbelievable.
Don't worry, I'll get us out of here.
It is my favorite scene from Naked Gun when Leslie Nielsen sees Reggie Jackson coming in and they're arguing. He's safe. He's out. He's safe. He pulls the gun. Hey, okay. He was safe. Everybody settled down.
Everybody settled
Man,
down.
can you imagine the documentary you could have done on Little League Baseball back in the day? I know it's crazy now, but
church softball was the worst.
Dude, I'll never forget this collision at the plate, and this dude lost both his teeth. And so we had a long time out. Oh, yeah, baseball. And had to do this long time out to look for the guy's teeth. Never found his teeth.
No. How do you not find his teeth?
I don't. It was a lot of dirt.
He swallowed them.
What was he going to do with his teeth? You can't put them back in.
I mean, there is a rumor that you can. By the way, I got to tell you, somebody lost a finger last week.
Did I know?
Indirectly.
Okay.
And they tried to put it back on because you always hear you put it on ice.
Yeah, put it on ice.
Because they were able to find the finger and they tried to put it back on, but it didn't happen.
Yeah.
So I had heard, though, if you put the teeth like immediately back in, that they can.
Yeah, once they've been in the dirt of a baseball field, putting them back in your gums seems like a great idea.
5-second rule.
If it's a real tooth, I don't think you can put it back in. But like if it's an implant, it just pops out. I think, if it's not damaged, you can put it back in.
Yeah, I think once the root comes out, it's just out.
Yeah. One other thing from the Auburn game, and then we'll move on here from last night. Alabama tonight in action against South Carolina. More on that coming up a little bit later on in the show today as the Tide tries to stay unbeaten in SEC play. But last night, we had talked to Stephen about it on the show, Stephen Pearl, but Bruce Pearl became the all-time winningest coach in Auburn history. Cut number 2, Tyler. Auburn sends out this video from the locker room of Stephen congratulating Bruce Pearl on being Auburn's all-time winningest coach. Listen in.
And it's next man up. It's just going to be next man up. Okay? All right, bring him in.
Hey, Coach, congratulations.
Was that Stephen?
Yeah, Stephen said, Coach, congratulations. And then the celebration starts in the locker room. 214 wins at Auburn. He passes Joel Eaves. And Stephen giving his father an opportunity there to celebrate with the team in the locker room.
Winningest coach in Auburn University history. You get the game.
Great moment for Bruce in the locker room there. Does he dance here? Is he going to dance? Is he going to dance? He's going to dance.
That's pretty cool.
He's going to dance. Bruce Pearl, winningest coach in Auburn basketball history. The show today being brought to you by our friends at Storm Restoration Roofing. Greg from Pell City. When the unexpected happens, make sure you call Greg and let him give you that free no-cost roof inspection. He's the guy that'll get up there on that ladder on your roof and let you know what's going on up there. One shingle loose can open up a water entry point and cause you so much damage. Call the number 205-542-3531, 542-3531, or look him up, Greg from Pell City on Facebook. He does a great job with insurance as well. He can help walk you through that process. He has a great relationship with the insurance providers out there. So storm damage, roof repairs, inspections, he does it all. That free roof inspection happens with one phone call, 205-542-3531, or Greg from Pell City on Facebook. Also by our friends at Hemp Hill. Hemp Hill brings you the lock every day at lanceslock.com.
Yeah, 205-229-2090. That is the number you need to call. Whether you experience plumbing, heating, or cooling issues in your home or business, they are ready to serve you. Call Adam, Chad, Andrew, the guys there. Trust the name. Birmingham has trusted since 1954. Hard to stop a train. For more information, hemphillservices.com.
Really excited about Alabama's defense next year because they exceeded my expectations this year with Kane Womack. I didn't really believe in the system. I didn't really believe that it would work in the SEC, and it got better as the year went on. And then you keep getting players come back. Yesterday, word comes out that Keon Sabb also is going to return to Tuscaloosa. So you got Damani Jackson, you got Sabb both returning. Zabion is back there after his true freshman year. You got Justin Jefferson back at the linebacker position. Deontay Lawson, if he can work back from the injury, back at the linebacker position. You got Keenan, LT Overton on that defensive line. Brownie, those are some key parts to that defense that ended up being the strength of this team.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree completely. Harp will be with us at 10:30, and I want to bring up Sabb because he was the guy that told us when Sabb went out, I like this Bray Hubbard kid. I don't think Alabama will miss a beat. Well, now Bray Hubbard played a good bit. I mean, you've created some depth finally in the secondary perhaps, and maybe recruited some depth in the secondary as well. I know transfer portal, comes and goes and things like that. It's just wild to me, and what I want to ask Harp about is, we'll talk to him about the college football playoff games, but I do want to get his opinion on this. I think Alabama fans by the end of the year had confidence in Kane Womack. Maybe not full confidence, but certainly built confidence more than they had. I wonder, as Harp has watched it, has he seen from Western Kentucky to Michigan the improvement that Alabama needs in defense?
Yeah, I thought it was a really, really good unit at the end of the year. And you wonder, with all of these guys now coming back, you wonder going into next year, are Alabama fans more secure in the defense or the offense?
Yeah, no, that's a great question.
Well, just because you don't know what you're getting at quarterback. Of course, you didn't know what you were getting all year at quarterback last year.
It's could be great, could be bad.
Fair to say Womack's stock as the Alabama defensive coordinator was its lowest after the Vandy loss. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
Yeah, I would say that.
And then it steadily got better. I even think we said on the show after the Tennessee game that the defense played good enough to win there at Tennessee.
Well, yardage-wise, you would go back and look at it and say, yeah, they gave up some yards. But if you watched that game, Alabama's defense was not the issue in that game.
Yeah. Now, at Oklahoma, I felt like you got put in a barrel by the play at quarterback.
But there again, their offense scored 3 points. Basically drove for 3 points.
That's right.
7 came on a pick six. 7 came on a short field. They scored 24, so there's got to be 7 more in there. I don't exactly remember, but I think they only scored 3. Maybe 10 were on a short field.
And I don't think Michigan had a drive for points.
I don't know what their longest scoring drive was. I would guess offhand like 40 yards.
I mean, it was 16-0 before you could blink,
Yeah,
right?
That's right. That's right.
And then they scored, 3 more?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in the losses, the defense was only a problem at Vandy. They couldn't get Vandy off the field.
They could not.
They played horrible in that game.
Yeah, big problem at Vandy, and there were a lot of film breakdowns that showed issues, and Harp talked about some of those with us, but showed issues against Vandy in scheme. So, yeah, Vandy was a bad day for everybody. I mean, there's no dodging that one. From Kalen DeBoer on down, that was a bad day for everybody at Vandy. But I do think his defense by the end of the year, and look, people in the mybookie.ag chat room are agreeing, by the end of the year, I had confidence in the defense. Bama's defense was not going to lose them a game in the second half of the season. Womack will never have a Saban-level defense, but it put a good defense last year, and we can win if we get an actual quarterback. DB King says, I think Missouri was the turning point for Alabama's defense. We talked about that a lot. You remember they put the starters back in to reserve the shutout.
Yeah.
And it did look like that was a bit of a turning point. Now, Nicholas says stopping the QB read game was an issue all year. Oklahoma and Vandy showed that. Can't deny that.
Can't deny that. Maybe that's a problem moving forward. Maybe that's the problem with that scheme. I don't know. Kane Womack runs his dad's scheme. His dad created that scheme. And I think he created it when he was at places like Ole Miss when he didn't have elite talent, right? He was trying to scheme it up to where you could play with the big boys who had more talent than you. It was always interested to see how it would work with elite talent. And it got better as it went on. And the thing I like about it is the people that are coming back, they've had a year in the system now. And it looks like Kalen DeBoer, according to our buddy Nick Kelly of AL.com, Nick Kelly reporting that Alabama is targeting Jason Jones as its defensive back coach. He's been at Indiana. He's got a history there with Kane Womack, Ole Miss, North Carolina, and he's a former Alabama starting DB, Jason Jones there. So he could be back as DB coach in Tuscaloosa this time for the first time run. So that's a little Alabama football news there for you. I thought it was interesting that Kirby Smart's biggest problem at Georgia this year was no playmakers. So
it's not just this year.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a consistent problem for me at the receiver spot.
Yeah, so with Ladd McConkey and Brock Bowers gone in one season of at wide receiver. Earlier, of course, they picked up Zachariah Branch from USC. LT gives you a lot of good return yards, mixed reviews on him as a receiver. Well, yesterday they picked up Texas A&M's Noah Thomas. 8 touchdowns this year, 39 catches, 514 yards. He's a 6'6" receiver from Texas A&M, not always playing with a great quarterback there, passing quarterback anyway, at Texas A&M. It looks like Kirby Smart woke up the day after getting kicked out of the college football playoffs and realized himself, hey, man, we need some playmakers at wide receiver, LT.
Well, they tried this last year with Dominic Lovett. I thought Dominic Lovett coming in from Missouri was going to be really good, and he wasn't really a factor. It was okay. So you wonder what you're going to get from Noah Thomas. Branch can be really good, especially in space. I don't know. You've still got Mike Bobo calling these plays, though.
But it seemed like coming out of the Sugar Bowl, when you finally got to see one full game of Gunnar Stockton, the belief was, hey, quarterback's not going to be an issue. I mean, I don't think anybody thinks he's the best quarterback coming back, but you guys watched him. I mean, did you watch that and say, oh, boy, Georgia is in trouble with Gunnar Stockton?
I think he's going to be okay.
Yeah, I think he's going to be okay. And Jaden Rashada obviously thinks he's going to be okay because he hit the portal. So I think Rashada knows this Gunnar Stockton show coming.
But I guess maybe the frustrating thing and maybe you thought this was Stetson Bennett. Like Stetson Bennett ended up being a borderline elite college quarterback.
Yeah.
You can say what you want about what was around him. Dude did not make mistakes, made some incredible throws, could get it done, could extend plays with his feet. I thought Stetson was tremendous. And then you go to Carson Beck, who wasn't as good. And now you're going to Gunnar Stockton. I don't think he's going to be as good as Carson Beck. Maybe ultimately he will be. But if I'm Georgia, or if I'm a Georgia fan, I'm like, this version of Georgia looked much different than the version of Georgia I've seen in the past.
Oh, yeah. On both sides of the ball.
Yeah, I don't know how bright the future is right now.
Well, I mean, Kirby, I don't know if we thought it was coach speak. Maybe some people did, but Kirby warned us all year.
Depth.
I don't have the depth that I've had before. And it did a little bit sound like coach speak, but he kept saying it. And as injuries started to stack up for them, this was not the same Georgia team.
Yeah, but I don't think anybody has depth.
They don't.
You just got to figure a way around it. You've got to make sure that, you're we'll call it you're 44 if you're going too deep. You got to make sure those guys are really, really good.
Well, I wonder if we'll start to get the narrative on Kirby Smart that Nick Saban got tagged with every now and then is, when he doesn't have the best roster, how good a coach is this guy actually? If he doesn't have a huge roster advantage, is this guy really that much better of a coach than everybody he's facing every week?
I've always said that having the best roster is part of your job.
I would agree.
Right, recruiting.
Yeah.
But I also would say the last couple of Saban teams to get that last team to the college football playoffs was a hell of a coaching job.
There's no doubt.
And
well, I'm not saying that about Kirby. I'm just saying you wonder if that narrative starts with him.
Would you rather have an average coach with an incredible roster or an incredible coach with an average roster?
Average coach, incredible roster.
Yeah, I think players win. Players win games.
Gene Chizik won a national championship. Yep. Larry Coker won a national championship.
Les Miles won a national championship. Ed Orgeron. I can do. Yeah, we could do that list.
All right, one more thing here in the opening segment after we tell you about a couple of our great sponsors. What's the day on the calendar today, LT?
Today's the 8th.
It is Wednesday. Brown, are you with me tonight?
I am with you tonight, my man.
Odie's Team Trivia. First time we've all been together. I don't know, since the night before Thanksgiving, maybe?
It's been a while.
Yeah, it has been a while. So brave the elements. Look, they'll have the heaters on outside. Obviously, it'll be nice and warm inside. Get there early. Enjoy some of the great food from Rodney Davis, from the award-winning wings to delicious chili and grilled cheese, ice-cold beer buckets full of the Bud Light. But Odie's Team Trivia every Wednesday night, the original location in Crestline. We'll get started right at 8 o'clock. Newest location, Edgewood. Get in, see Will Haver and that great staff. Birmingham institution, it's Odie's Tap.
And our friends at DanielMooreArt.com today, DanielMooreArt.com. Don't forget to always use our coupon code TNR. TNR gets you 20% off there. when you're shopping at danielmooreart.com. A lot of great historic items there and other works that you can check out online, but also the most recent, The Legend. You missed the Nick Saban days, or you just want to remember that big part of your life, get the artwork there from danielmooreart.com. danielmooreart.com. It's The Legend, a tribute to Coach Nick Saban, 6 national championships. Coupon code is TNR. danielmooreart.com. danielmooreart.com. I'm not afraid to admit it. Multiple TVs. I had the TGL Golf on a television, and when the Auburn basketball game went to commercial, I turned up the sound.
Oh, wow.
And I was thoroughly entertained. I loved it.
I'm not afraid to admit that I did the same thing. I would not go as far as thoroughly entertained. It was interesting, unique. I would watch it again.
Yep.
As I told somebody, like, if this were the middle of the summer, I'd really watch it. With other stuff on, I don't know. It's going to have to be in a right time slot. I mean, if it's going to go head-to-head with an Auburn or Alabama basketball game, it's going to be hard for me to
What did you guys like about it?
It was fast, first off.
That's right. They had a shot clock.
They have a clock.
Yep, keeps it moving.
It was like a combination of wrestling and I don't know what else, but wrestling and the Ryder Cup and bowling all thrown in together. It was because you were playing sort of matches and, you had to call your shot. It was mic'd up. I loved it.
Yeah, having the guys mic'd up so you could hear their crap talk among one another. They're joking around. Matt Berry could talk to them, between shots. I did enjoy that part of it.
Oh, no, it was Matt Berry?
Yeah. And you don't like him? He's good.
Oh, he drives me nuts.
Yeah,
Who do you like on ESPN? That's going to be a shorter list.
Scott Van Pelt?
We'll come back to that.
Yeah, Van Pelt's fine.
Marty was there. Marty was on.
I love Marty.
Yeah.
I love Marty. Yeah.
I didn't know you were going to be doing this. I thought we'd be hitting off turf. They have, you depending on where you are on the green, they have 3 squares. They have real sand, they have real grass, and they have the rough grass. Right. And you have to hit from the square that you're in. If you're in the animated sand,
so where is this set up?
Palm Beach.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where all the players live.
So that's where it's going to be nonstop.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. That's where all the players live. So they've got to do it where those guys live.
And it's the best golf in the world, best golfers in the world, and they're in there playing. And it's like anything. It's like anything. If all of us get together, you guys in the chat room are the same way. We get together and we're going to go play. If we're going to go bowling, or if we're going to play ping pong, or if we're going to play Uno, it's why we love sports. We're all competitive as hell, and it was fun watching these guys be competitive in something that isn't their main job.
What can they win?
I don't even know.
I don't either. They didn't really hype
didn't
up the prize money.
I mean, it's got to be worth their while.
There's
though, right?
money involved, or they wouldn't do it. I don't know. I don't know what was on the line. Now it was 6-0, through 6 holes. So it had lost a little bit of its luster to me by that point. So I kind of checked out.
It was sort of like the Barons in minor league baseball. I'm not there to.
You're not there for the score?
I'm not there to see who wins the game or the standings. I'm there to enjoy the atmosphere. I just enjoyed them making shots, and the holes are not real holes. They're not playing like the 16th at Augusta. They have these weirdly designed holes that I found fascinating.
You see, I kind of like that part of it because it was forcing them to make choices like, do I want to be super aggressive, middle aggressive, or safe?
Yeah.
And I like that part about it, too. Yeah. I mean, I'll watch it again, It depends on what it's up against.
Me too. I thought it was, of all the quirky, weird stuff that happens, I thought that was pretty good. As we head to break here, can you give me cut number 10, Tyler? I didn't get to this yesterday, but Abby Stockard is Miss America from Auburn, from Vestavia, and her boyfriend happens to be jazz star Walker Kessler, former Auburn basketball star.
What a power couple.
He, of course, not on hand because his season's in place, so he has to watch the finals of Miss America on his iPhone. Listen in.
Your new Miss America is Alabama.
Oh, she won! Let's go! She won! Yes.
How about that?
I love the fact that a millionaire is watching on his cell phone.
I know, but what a cool reaction, though.
Yeah.
The dude's speechless, man.
And now all of a sudden, I don't think they're engaged. Long-time relationship, though. All of a sudden, you're dating Miss America.
Yeah, let's go ahead and put a ring on that.
That's
right?
a brag in the locker room, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's a brag in the locker room.
Man, he's a lot taller than she is. I mean, I knew Walker Kessler was tall.
And Kessler's become a pretty good player, by the way.
Oh, he was good at Auburn, but
we knew he'd be good at Auburn, but when you have one of these guys that it's all about size, you really wonder how it's going to translate.
That's right.
But I mean, he's a double guy.
I would say he's better. That's a big statement, but I think he's better in the NBA than he was at Auburn.
That final year, no, but he is a lot better than I thought he would be.
Yeah.
I mean, he's an 11-11 guy,
which keeps you getting paid
going to make him a fortune.
A long time. All right, and her speaking engagements is Miss America.
Oh, they'll do fine.
They're going to be okay.
Yeah, if they get married, they just cash and checks the rest of their life.
Yeah, and they're both retired at 35.
I know. Yeah.
Let's go lay on the beach. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy when you're on that beach. Our friends at Bud Light, they bring you this show. We're back in a moment. This is The Next Round.
Follow The Next Round on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Next Round Live.
Looking for a great place for that boring meeting? Leave the office and go to the Golfus. What about corporate events like board meetings, sales meetings, customer appreciation events? How about the Golfus? Watch parties for football and basketball, parties for birthdays or couple showers. The Golfus is a great place for those. The Golfus has Birmingham's best golf simulators and man caves in Vestavia on Highway 31, opening soon in Trussville and on Highway 280. Bring whatever you want to eat or drink, even bring your own clubs. Get out of the office. Go to the Golfus. Book your spot now at thegolfus.com. Man, I love a good meal. I'm Jim Dunaway. A good meal is what you get with my friend Sterling at Champy's Chicken on Highway 119 in Alabaster. We're talking great southern fried chicken, wonderful sides, hand-cut chicken fingers, po' boys, and those Mississippi Delta recipe tamales. You got a perfect menu for everybody. Champy's Chicken is perfect for watching the big game, or taking a meal to the lake house, down to the coast, or stay in the restaurant and dine in a great atmosphere. It's all made fresh to order right there on 119 in Alabaster, Champy's Chicken. If renting is putting a dent in your bank account, here's your sign from the universe that it's time to buy a new home. And who better to help you through the ins and outs of home buying than our friends at Mortgage Right. With Mortgage Right, you don't have to worry about becoming a short notice mortgage expert because they do all the heavy lifting for you. They're trusted mortgage professionals, and they'll help you choose the right mortgage option and stand by your side every step of the way. Visit mortgageright.com/TNR to buy before renting runs you dry. That's mortgageright.com/TNR. NMLS 2239, Equal Housing Lender.
You could win a Cadillac CT5 or your share of $25,000 in free play and cash at Birmingham Racecourse Casino. The more you visit, the more chances you have to win. Play the latest, most exciting games around with fun bonuses and big jackpots. You can be a winner too. Come win your share during the Cadillac CT5 and $25,000 giveaway at Birmingham Racecourse Casino. Drawings April 5th and 6th. Located off I-459, exit 31, Derby Parkway. Must be 21 or older, must be present to win.
Happy football season. At The Next Round, we strive to make our loyal listeners feel like they're a part of the action all season long. My name is Emily Grace McWhorter, and I do that by bringing you along for any given Saturday in Auburn or Tuscaloosa. From pregame warm-ups, touchdowns that make you feel a part of the play, and everything in between, our goal is to make you feel like you're inside Bryant-Denny or Jordan-Hare. Follow along on our social media at Next Round Live on Instagram, X, and Facebook. Also, check out thebarnauburn.com and covercrimson.com while you're at it. Here's to fall Saturdays.
From the creators of The Next Round comes two new sites, covercrimson.com and thebarnauburn.com. Two team sites with the same excitement and information-driven content that you get every day on The Next Round. Live daily shows, recorded shows, free of charge, plus premium content with insider information starting at just $1. And it's the perfect gift for the Alabama or Auburn fan in your family. Covercrimson.com or thebarnauburn.com. Sign up today.
Follow Next Round Live on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. The social media team at Next Round Live is dedicated to giving you daily news conferences and practice video from UAB, Alabama, Auburn, and around college football. Follow and compare to the sites you used to visit. You'll also get the latest highlights and news from the Next Round Daily Show. Turn on the notifications so you don't miss a thing. Next Round Live on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. See more at nextroundlive.com.
By now, you guys know how I feel about my fashion. However, did you know that I care about your fashion choices? Cargo shorts are out, flip-flops are only appropriate on the boat, and please throw away that stained t-shirt from college. You may be thinking, E.g., that's all I own. What do I do? Here's what you do. Go to nextround.store and fill your cart with a wardrobe that is approved by me. Stock up on logo t-shirts, hoodies for football season, and hats for every day of the week. Trust me on this one and head over to nextround.store to get stocked up for this season.
Back with you on the next round as we roll forward hour number 2. Roman Harper's our first guest coming up at 10:30 today. Skip Holtz joins us at 11 o'clock, the head coach of the 3-time champion Birmingham Stallions. They lost their general manager, by the way. The Stallions did, to Sacramento State. He went out there to be their player personnel, like everyone's getting a GM. He left the Stallions to go out to be the Sacramento State GM. That program is spending some money to try to make the jump up and be relevant on the FBS level.
And their most famous, not alum, but famous player is probably Cam Scattaboo.
That's right. That's right.
I'm trying to think of anybody else that played at Sacramento State.
They seem to be new on the scene to me.
Yeah.
But boy, what a fascinating project to watch. As much money as they've poured into this.
Yep. Now,
it was misreported by Adam Schefter what their NIL is.
Well, that was, I think anybody knew that, right?
Yeah, as soon as I read it, I was like, Schefter's got this wrong.
Well, didn't he throw the number like
50 million?
Okay.
50 million.
What he confused was they've gotten $50 million worth of pledges to their football program to move to FBS.
That's right, to try to get into the Pac-12 or the Mountain West.
Not all of that is going to be NIL. Some of it might be, you don't know.
Some of it could be a stadium upgrade.
That's right, yeah.
Or coaching salaries, whatever.
Yeah, but they've got, $50 million of pledges for an FCS program is pretty impressive.
Scattaboo's not part of this, but before we tell you about Dr. B, a little note on the little Desert Devils and their great gear and everything there. Dillingham signed that long-term contract right before the playoff loss. No regular starters that can return hit the portal. Yesterday, they agreed to terms with Sam Levitt, who on 3 has a valuation at $3 million a year. I don't know what they paid him. You got the Arizona State hat on today. They have no regular starters that hit the portal, so everybody who left because of eligibility is gone, but those that could leave, they're all back for another ride next year.
Yeah, look, we don't know much about Kenny Dillingham. You get what you see. I think a lot of people didn't like the way the BYU game his actions at the end of that. But then I think people love the fact that after they lost in double overtime to Texas, he sent his guys back out on the field to shake hands. Everybody in that program loves him. He's a Tempe guy. He's not going anywhere. And if he's able to keep these guys there, that's pretty amazing. Now, I guess the selling point would be if you've got a commitment from a collective and you can pay these guys, hey, look, we were just going double overtime with Texas, a team that played for the SEC championship, a team that could still win a national championship. Why can't we run this back next year and do the exact same thing? So I think it's kind of an easy sell. And, oh, by the way, let's negotiate your deal down at one of these bars with all these co-eds running around in Scottsdale.
Brown, there is no better stepping stone for your program, and Indiana's in the same boat here. Boise State's in the same boat, than to have been in this first college football playoff. To be a playoff team helps you with name recognition. You carry that, regardless of result, you carry that on the recruiting trail into the portal. Indiana, I'm not saying Indiana is going to be better next year, but I think long-term, Indiana's program benefited from this year. Arizona State's program benefited from this year. Boise State's program benefited from this year, from being in this playoff. SMU did benefit from being in this playoff. It doesn't mean next year they're going to be better than they were this year, but I think name recognition, it helps them in recruiting and in the portal, which means long-term they are going to be a better program.
I think it would help you more in the portal than recruiting. And hear me out on this, because you've already signed your class for this year before you did anything you did in the playoffs. So anybody that affects on recruiting is a future signee, which is not until December.
Yeah. And that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
This is future returns on what you did this year.
But if you're back to 5-7 in December, they're going to be like, I really want to sign up for that. So you've got to stack it. But in the transfer portal, you would think this would help them very much, especially when we get to the April transfer portal, the second round of it. Like, it does look like a fun program to be in. I can be in Tempe, Arizona. It's a good place to live. Pretty girls, fun program, good school, I guess. Arizona's a good school. Arizona State's a good school. I have no idea. Yeah, there's a lot to like about Arizona State. I would think Kenny Dillingham could sell hard in the transfer portal if he's got some money to spend.
Back to one of your points, I mean, it's something with whether or not they get there again, Indiana gets there again, Boise gets there again. We're still going to always remember them as a playoff team. Like George Mason, you remember the Final Four run. VCU, remember the Final Four run.
Well, when I see VCU and I still see Wichita State, it never really clicked for me with George Mason. But when I see VCU and Wichita State, I always think that's going to be a good game, whoever they're playing, and they're really not that anymore.
Well, and so in 20 years, whoever is sitting here doing what we're doing, they're going to be talking about, man, Indiana was a playoff team.
That's right.
Yeah, so, I mean, people will remember that in 20 years.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I would doubt that Indiana ever gets back there. I could be wrong.
I'd bet against it. Yeah.
Our friend Dr. B brings you part of the show. Tell us about Dr. Beck.
Dr. B, best in the business. He pioneered the use of neograft hair restoration right here in Alabama, remains at the forefront of hair preservation in the Southeast. If you know somebody that is thinning out, if it's you, if you want to maintain, you want to grow some back, I have more than doubled my hair in thickness doing that non-invasive treatment. I did it last night, 3 times a week, 30 minutes each time. That's all I'm doing for more than 20 years. Women and men have turned to Dr. Beckenstein for a range of cosmetic and reconstructive procedures. He will use his experience, his advanced training, and genetic testing to help his patients fully understand the procedures they are considering. Call Dr. B and that great staff today. Book your consultation. Tell them the next round sent you. 205-319-0316, 205-319-0316, or t3hair.net.
The College Football Spotlight.
It is presented each day by our friends at McCurry Van and Car Rentals. They've got all the cars, trucks, SUVs that can be difficult to find in some places. They are not difficult to find at McCurry. McCurry Van and Car Rental has you covered. Get you in and out fast. Make it easy on you as well. Throughout North Alabama is where you find them. Athens, Muscle Shoals, Huntsville, 2nd Avenue Northwest at Coleman, Skyland Boulevard at Tuscaloosa. Call and reserve that rental today, 256-559-1003. They got the big trucks, too, I've seen. Like moving big things. I've seen them out on the roads with the McCurry logo on there. 256-559-1003, McCurryRentals.com.
And they'll forever be the people that transported us to the SEC Media Days in Dallas.
That is correct.
Great memories there. All right, let's start first as we preview the games coming up Thursday and Friday. The Friday game with Texas, Big O Texas, being the underdogs against Ohio State. How does that sit with Gunnar Helm?
How's this team handling being the underdog, playing in the state of Texas? And what's been the messaging from Sark this week?
Yeah, just being where our feet are. Honing back in our details. Obviously we're trusting that our fans are going to come out and make an appearance, especially being up in Dallas, just up the road. So we feel like we have the advantage in that aspect. But, I think we're really dangerous as underdogs. We've been underdogs for a lot of big games in my early years here, such as, Alabama at home. And then obviously Alabama on the road in a really tough environment in Tuscaloosa. So, I think underdogs, the aspect of that makes you really dangerous as a team. But it's just another game for us. We're preparing the same way as we would.
We're underdogs against Alabama and then against Alabama. Other than that, we're usually favorites.
By the way, a couple of things. Our man Chip Brown asking every question out there.
He's really peppering those guys, isn't he?
But Gunnar Helm, everybody, when they talk tight ends, you talk Tyler Warren at Penn State, you talk Harold Fannin at Bowling Green, you talk Colston Loveland at Michigan. That kid has become kind of their go-to. Like Golden is their big play guy, but when they need to move the chains, on a 3rd and 7, Helm is the guy they're looking for.
He's the possession guy.
Yeah, and
Keep it alive.
He has been so good. I'm not going to take any shots at any more ESPNs, but I heard Heather Dinich. This is so ridiculous. Who's under more pressure? Steve Sarkisian, she says. More pressure than Ryan Day because he's having to fly the flag for the SEC. Do you think Steve Sarkisian even thinks about the SEC right now?
He's not the least bit worried about
it was one of the dumbest things that I've heard in a long time, not to take a shot. But the pressure in this game, we went through all 4 teams yesterday. To me, Texas, and I know they haven't really beaten anybody of substance. They have beaten the ACC champion, Big 12 champions, but they won 2 postseason games. Now they're playing what is deemed as the best team. So I think Sark is kind of playing with house money. But Ryan Day, I think you got to close this deal.
I just wonder, so this is 2 Texas players, Quinn Ewers yesterday, Gunnar Helm today, that we've heard, and I know Chip asked both questions, so clearly Chip is working on the angle of Texas being the underdog, which in fact they are. That's 2 guys you've heard talking about playing as an underdog, and I said it after Ewers yesterday, and I'll say it again. I would love to know if that's the way Sarkisian's going to coach this game is we're going to go in there like nobody believes in us. We'll go for every reasonable fourth down. We're going to be aggressive. We are going to try to keep the pedal to the metal because the way Ohio State's offense is playing right now, that really might be the only way to beat them. Again, we talked about it. Quinn Ewers said it yesterday. Your field goals aren't going to do you any good in this game. So I wonder how much that bleeds down into the game plan. If it's 4th and 2 from the 30, I don't think you're running Bert Auburn out there if you're Steve Sarkisian.
Well, I don't think you are based on what he did last time. Bert Auburn has been a guy that's been there for a long time. You go back to the first home and home with Alabama and Texas. Auburn had an opportunity to win that game, did he not?
He did.
Yeah.
Those were.
But he was very, very consistent. But the kicks he missed against Arizona State, I would be really concerned. So I think the answer to your question is I think Sarkisian is going to be very aggressive.
Did you see what Saban said to McAfee about?
I didn't know
about the last kick where Sark walks out and he puts his hand on his shoulders and he's face to face, and they talked a long time.
Yeah,
Arizona State had called a timeout there, I believe,
and he obviously said something funny because they smiled.
Yeah. And Saban,
trying to loosen him up.
Yeah, and Saban was like, I stayed away from the kickers. I never said a word to them. Like, I didn't want to. Whatever I said, I felt like I just put more pressure on the kicker. And honestly, I thought that right when I was watching it.
But like Saban would do this. If you made the kick,
yep,
and if you missed it, he would give that glance like,
like what that?
Like this, I can't believe we're a kicker. We've done all this work.
I know,
and
you've screwed it up.
But you're right. I never saw interaction with Saban and the kicker.
But what the hell do you guys do over in Field 3?
Yeah. Even watching the game live, though, when Sark did that, I was like, boy, that is a risky move because even if you're trying to calm the guy down, you are breaking the normal routine of things, which a lot of times only adds pressure.
Yeah. That's the pitcher with going into the ninth with the no-hitter, right?
Yeah.
Sark's. But I thought at the moment, I thought he was going to make the kick. I thought it was kind of strange. There it is right there. Forrest just pulled it up for us.
Just hands on shoulders talking to the guy. They're out there by themselves except for the cameraman that's right in their face, which probably added to the pressure for Bert Auburn.
And the problem is, I'm just imagining, speculation here. Hey, man, you've been here before. You have been so solid for us for years. You are going to make one of the biggest kicks in Texas history right after this timeout.
Well, I wasn't thinking about it in those terms, Coach, until you brought it up. That's kind of pressure.
Remember that time you and Will Riker did the vaccine commercial? You were built for this.
Those were the days.
One other note in our spotlight here on the playoffs. News last night comes out. Jeremiah Love is cleared to play. He's going to play for Notre Dame, the running back against Penn State.
That's huge.
But he was cleared to play in the game before that.
But he wasn't a factor at all, and he wasn't 100%. You could tell.
Yeah, so him playing and him being a impact player is two different things. Okay, he's going to give it a go. How big of a factor do you think he'll be in this game?
It just depends. Ohio State's defense is that good. Penn State's defense. Don't want to disrespect them.
Ohio State's is that good too.
Yeah. Yes, you're correct.
But Penn State has a really good defense as well. And look, I think this is a simple formula. Whoever runs the football, I can almost guarantee you who has the most rushing yards in this game will win this game because you've got Allen and Singleton for Penn State who have been running the football effectively in this postseason, and then you've got the combination of quarterback Riley Leonard and Jeremiah Love. And if Jeremiah Love, you saw it against Indiana, he busted off a 98-yard touchdown, which is the longest in Notre Dame history. They had to lay Jadarian Prince, they had to rely on him last week a little bit, and he's kind of a nice change of pace guy. But if you're going to win this game, Jeremiah Love has got to go 100+. Has to.
Yeah. So those are the playoff games. That Notre Dame Penn State's tomorrow night, 6:30 ESPN, and then Texas and Ohio State is Friday, 6:30 on ESPN. That's our spotlight brought to you by our friends at McCurry.
McCurryRentals.com. That is McCurryRentals.com. They make it easy. Get you in and out fast with McCurry Rentals.
All right. As we talk football here, I wanted to bring up Ashton Jeanty announcing he's going to the NFL. Runner-up in the Heisman, unbelievable season, just short of setting the all-time rushing single-season record. What is Ashton Jeanty in the NFL?
I think Ashton Jeanty, and I got to give Brock Huard credit, first person I heard say this, reminds him a little bit of Marshall Faulk. The build is different. Faulk was kind of pudgy, didn't have Ashton Jeanty is completely chiseled. He looks like a statue, but I think he's got that kind of vision. I can't wait to see when he runs the 40. Like, I think his football speed is going to be faster, but I think he's still going to blow people away with the 40. But I think he is going to be – I mean, you see the factor that Jahmyr Gibbs has become. You see the factor of Bijan Robinson. I think Jeanty's going to be better than both of those guys.
I do wonder if we've got a little bit of a running back revival right now. Yeah. You know, for years we've talked about how diminished that position is. But you look at Baltimore, I mean, first of all, you look at Philadelphia with Saquon Barkley, who challenged the all-time rushing or the single-season rushing record. Derrick Henry with Baltimore.
I give a lot of credit to the Lions with Gibbs and Montgomery.
Yeah, and I was going to bring up Jahmyr Gibbs. I mean, Lance mentioned him. I think he's 5th in the NFL in rushing yards this year. Yeah.
By
the reason the Lions in the
By the way,
postseason.
Kyron Williams, back-to-back, top 5.
Josh Jacobs has had a really good year for Green Bay. One of the reasons there. Meaningful
I
yards.
still think after rookie contracts, you know, some of these guys like Saquon got the deal. Derrick Henry got the deal, but most of these guys.
Jacobs got a pretty good deal. Jacobs did with Green Bay.
I don't know how good that deal was.
Yeah. He got one good contract, didn't he?
I think so. I want to ask.
Was it with the Raiders that he got the good
I think
contract?
he got the extension after he led the NFL in rushing, I think 3 or 4 years ago.
I want to ask a comparison question, and maybe I'm wrong about this comparison, but this is a guy that doesn't get the yards because his quarterback takes a lot of rush yards from him. But I've seen him play so much, and he is a deadly running back. James Cook at Buffalo.
Yeah.
The former Georgia running back.
I think he's really
good. Some comparison
really
there? He and Jeanty? Just in their game, maybe not their body size.
Well, no,
but the way
I
they
mean,
play.
actually, the way they look a little bit.
Yeah.
But I would say that James
Jeanty's
Cook
faster.
has already proven went 1,000 yards again this past weekend. Yeah. But James Cook's like a poor man's Ashton Jeanty.
Okay, a poor man's.
Yeah.
Right.
Mel Kiper's got Jeanty number 6 on his big board. He's going to go in the top 10. I've seen him falling to Dallas at like 13 or 14. But, man, he has got a bright future.
All right, one more thing to do before we get to the top of the hour. We've got Alabama, South Carolina, a look ahead coming up in the next segment. We've got 4 downs in the next segment. The show being brought to you by a couple of great sponsors. One of them are our friends at JohnstonRVCenter.com. Johnston RV.
I-65, exit 304 in Coleman, 334 indicator is where you find them, and online, JohnstonRVCenter.com. With 2025 on the calendar, they're getting rid of the 24s with show season coming up. They got to make room. Things like the Shasta 16RE, just $149 a month with approved credit. The Avenger 29 QBS, $279 a month with approved credit. Don't forget that lifetime warranty from RV Warranty Forever on anything new and qualifying pre-owned. Also, the great discount for all of our active duty and military veterans. You can find out more at JohnstonRVCenter.com.
And our friends at Woodhouse Day Spa. Boy, you talk about a time to treat yourself when it's below freezing outside. Get in a little warmth in this. Just relax.
Yeah, look, it's always a good time for the gift of relaxation. You can get it from our friends at the Woodhouse Day Spa. You can do a couple of things. You can stop in, see Stuart and that great staff. They're conveniently located at the Summit Shopping Centers. You can purchase right there, or you can go online, birmingham.woodhousespas.com. Order that special person gift online 24/7. They can choose from a menu of over 70 options, including massages, body treatments, skincare, waxing, nail services. Woodhouse Day Spa, voted America's best day spa since 2009. Make sure you tell them the guys from the next round sent you.
All right, I want to leave you this segment with, I don't know if you're a fan of Jim Nantz or not. I like him.
Yeah,
I like him as a broadcaster.
Yeah.
He's ultimate professional.
500th NFL game this Sunday when he calls the playoff game this weekend on CBS will be his 500th call.
Do you know the record by chance? Is that
I
it?
don't. I would imagine it's Al Michaels.
Or Pat Summerall. Well, no, Summerall, he's been going a long time. It probably
I would
is Al
say
Michaels.
it's Al Michaels.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say it's Al Michaels because nobody does 2 a week. It's usually 1 a week.
Yeah.
I'll try to look it up.
Al is still, teetering with that A game. Jim Nantz has obviously still got his A game.
Clear A game, yeah.
But Nantz, I mean, both these guys, but 500. But I mean, the other calls. I guess he's done more NFL than anything.
A lot of golf. Final
a lot
Four,
of basketball.
Final Four up until recently. He retired from the Final Four starting last year.
So
last year
that
was
would
Ian
been,
Eagles' first year.
But I guess he's doing 17 to 18 or 17 to 20 games a year in the NFL.
Yeah, but in just the NCAA tournament, if you're just counting games and not days, and he does 4 games a day on Thursday and Saturday.
That's right.
And then 2 games on Thursday and Saturday, and then 2 games in 1 game.
Yeah.
It was like yesterday we had a meeting, and Brown loved me trying to figure out how many beers I've had in my life.
It was. That was the discussion.
Is that an important number?
No.
No, it wasn't important. Like, I'm on
I'm
on day 17 of sobriety, by the way.
And that's what you do on day 17. You open up a
start
little
counting
box.
back
How many
with
beers you had?
I've only had 2 temptations. We've had a couple of meetings, and And they were afternoon meetings, and a couple of the guys had ordered beers. And I was like, damn, I'd kind of like a beer, but I didn't. But Brown and I yesterday, we were just talking about, I was like, if I averaged 3 beers a day for the last 40 years, I mean, you can do the math.
Yeah, that number was large, which is why I laughed.
Yeah.
It's bigger than Jim Nantz.
Yeah.
It's bigger than his broadcast.
More beers than Jim Nantz NFL games.
Wouldn't you love to be able to see like stats of different things?
I love that.
There's no telling.
Like how many rounds of golf you guys have played?
No idea.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
if everything in life was a broadcast, and as you opened your next Bud Light,
that's number 83
on the graphic at the bottom would be that is LT's 1.7 millionth beer.
Yeah. So I've got a lot of OCD stuff. My kids do too. But one of the things I wanted to tell them is like to keep a journal of things they do in life. But I don't want them to be that OCD over the top.
Yeah.
Like every movie you've ever been to, which Tyler probably knows what those numbers are.
I did the math, and if you averaged 3 beers a day for the past 40 years, you would end up at 43,800.
That's what I told Brown. It's probably between 40 and 50,000.
Now, I want to point out.
Is that a lot of beer, though?
I don't think so. Not at 3. I think I've seen you do more than 3 in a day.
No, but I was just, there's some wine nights. Yeah. There's some bourbon nights, some tequila. Back in the college days, I liked vodka.
I would like to point out for Lance's benefit, he is not old enough that 40 years takes him back to the drinking age of 21.
No,
so let's point that out.
Yeah.
We also know
tells you a lot of things about Lance, right?
We also know that LT got NIL money in the alcohol world before there was NIL
very
too.
Very early.
All right, top of the hour. When we come back, we'll do our 4 downs. We'll talk a little Alabama, South Carolina tonight. 10:30. Roman Harper's on the show. This is the next round, brought to you by our friends at Roback. Don't forget, promo code TNR20 gets you 20% off. 20% off your next order at Roback.com. Crave activity with our friends at Roback.com, code TNR20.
Take the next round anywhere you go with official Next Round gear. Buy yours today at nextround.store.
Remember the name Way to Wellness if you're battling weight loss in your life. I'm Jim Dunaway from the Next Round. There was a time I was over 216 pounds until Way to Wellness helped me lose 45 pounds, and now for over 2 years, they've helped me keep that weight off. Here's their website, aplanforme.com, aplanforme.com. That's a great name for a website because there's no cookie-cutter plan. Everything is designed specifically for you. No contract, no sign-up fees, and your first consultation is free at Way to Wellness.
The beauty of the holiday is at the center of your table with the New York Butcher Shop. Their selection of USDA certified Angus prime rib roast, beef tenderloins, and fillets, as well as premium pork and lamb cuts, are the finest selections available in the market and are hand-cut just the way you want. With side dishes handmade by their professional chefs, your holiday meal is complete. Visit one of their 2 locations today, in Cahaba Heights or off Highway 119 in Greystone. Place your order today. The New York Butcher Shop. Rare quality, well-done service.
Storm season is here. Make sure you have a plan of action in place right now. Greg from Pell City and Storm Restoration Roofing should be your first call when storms hit. Insurance companies love working with Storm Restoration Roofing because of Greg Nelson's name and reputation in the industry. When storms hit, call Greg Nelson. He's local, 205-542-3531. He's the home of the free no-cost roof inspection. Greg from Pell City on Facebook, 205-542-3531. It's Storm Restoration Roofing.
Just because you've quit going to the gym, it doesn't mean that you have to quit gym altogether. Dunaway, that is. With our Next Round podcasts open 24/7, 365, you can access gym anytime you'd like. While you may have done away with your treadmill routine, our version of Dunaway is standing by ready to get you back to your absolute best. Find all that lovely Jimmy D-led content on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and in the podcast section of nextroundlive.com. This message is sponsored by Jimmy Crypto Inc. and Jimmy Crypto for President.
From the creators of The Next Round comes 2 new sites, CoverCrimson.com and TheBarnAuburn.com. 2 team sites with the same excitement and information-driven content that you get every day on The Next Round. Live daily shows, recorded shows, free of charge, plus premium content with insider information starting at just $1. And it's the perfect gift for the Alabama or Auburn fan in your family. CoverCrimson.com or TheBarnAuburn.com. Sign up today.
Take TNR on the go with a podcast built for your satisfaction. Miss Hour 1? Find it in podcast form. Miss Hour 2? Stream it now. Miss Hour 3? Download it for later. Miss Hour 4? Well, just know it's never coming back. Listen to TNR wherever you find podcasts.
Start your day online with our website, nextroundlive.com, for the latest videos, podcasts, and college football stories. It's also a great way to stream the show or shop in the Next Round store. Stay connected by visiting nextroundlive.com.
Hang out with the Next Round on the go. Whether you're driving to work, running errands, sitting on the beach, or you just need a break from the real world, we can keep you company. Check out the Next Round, Mystery Fifth Hour, and our other shows on your favorite podcast app. We'll meet you there.
Want more of the show? Download the app or visit nextroundlive.com for the latest podcast, The Mystery Fifth Hour, our Not For All Ages podcast, The Last Call, and the entire Double Down Media podcast family, all at nextroundlive.com and on the Next Round app.
Happy football season. At the Next Round, we strive to make our loyal listeners feel like they're a part of the action all season long. My name is Emily Grace McWhorter, and I do that by bringing you along for any given Saturday in Auburn or Tuscaloosa. From pregame warm-ups, touchdowns that make you feel a part of the play, and everything in between, our goal is to make you feel like you're inside Bryant-Denny or Jordan-Hare. Follow along on our social media at Next Round Live on Instagram, X, and Facebook. Also, check out thebarnauburn.com and covercrimson.com while you're at it. Here's to fall Saturdays.
Jim Dunaway, Lance Taylor, Ryan Brown. Live from the Birmingham Racecourse Casino Studios, the Next Round, presented by Bud Light, is on now.
Back with you on the Next Round as we get ready for more basketball happening tonight. But last night, Auburn beats Texas. I wrote it down. You know, fans get a little, if you don't call it right, if you say Auburn holds on against Texas, they're like, Jim, they led by 21 at one point. So I wrote down Auburn cruises, then holds on versus Texas.
I never felt like it was.
I never thought they were going to lose the game. Yeah,
it just got way. It's just one of those where if you're Bruce Pearl, you'd rather see you close it out a little better than that. I mean, they gave it. Was it a 55-point second half out of Texas? Am I right about?
55 is the number. They gave up that many points, and that's not their defense.
Yeah, you just can't do that. I mean, that is not Auburn basketball right there. I know Bruce Pearl was happy after the win. You'll take any road win in the SEC this year.
Well, that's one of those. And, basketball, and we've talked about this a million times, double-digit leads aren't safe.
Yeah.
But you feel like if you add Auburn minus the points yesterday, you got backdoored. Yeah, I mean, you're up 21.
You're spending your money already.
That's
you're
dangerous.
Thinking, man, that's an easy win.
I'll say this. Alabama is a 10-point road favorite tonight at South Carolina. Auburn, I don't know where it went off. When we were on the show yesterday, it was 10.5. Is that about where it went off? So, I mean, Alabama is in the same type of situation at South Carolina tonight. I think if you're an Alabama fan, I mean, would you take a 5-point win right now with South Carolina?
You take a 1-point
and
win.
not play the game,
you
right?
Take any win at all. Can you give me a cut number 3, Tyler? The guy I'm really impressed with Alabama right now is quick. I mean, they got a lot of great guys, but Chris Youngblood is starting to contribute, and he's starting to have a bigger role each game, and really is a good part that helps all the stars. He sort of fits in there in Tuscaloosa. Chris Stewart talking to Chris Youngblood on Tiger Talk. Excuse me, on Hey Coach and the Crimson Tide Sports Network the other night. Here's Chris Stewart with Chris.
How tough has it been for you to get in? Coach talks about game shape, and to get into that because you can't simulate it. You got to play, and you're coming off the injury, but it looks like it's getting real close for you.
Oh, yeah, I can definitely see the light in the tunnel now. Like, them first few games, I was so frustrated because I couldn't guard anybody. No matter how hard I tried, man, my feet and brain just weren't connected yet. So it's definitely been tough, but, this whole surgery process has taught me patience. So, it's time to use the patience now.
Yeah, so he's a guy that, having the immobility there for the first part of the season is just getting back in the game shape. How do you like the pieces and the parts on this Alabama team so far, Lance?
A lot. We talked to Richard Hendricks a couple of days ago, and he talked about the depth and how Alabama can win in different ways. They weren't great. Everybody think when you look at the style of Nate Oates over the last few years, people are like, this team is going to live and die with the 3. They hit 9 threes Saturday against Oklahoma, an undefeated team. They still win the game by 28. It's interesting you bring up Youngblood because yesterday on Bam and Bourbon with Aaron Suttles, this is the guy he brought up when we were talking basketball.
Really?
And he was talking about Nate Oates is so excited. It sucked that Right Cell is done for the year, but there is so much optimism that Chris Youngblood can be, a guy that's a two-way player, can be a great defender, and ultimately, once he gets his legs, talking about getting into game shape, he can become a big-time scorer too. He's played in 5 games this year, and he's been a nice contributing factor, but this is a guy along with Sears and Nelson and some of the other guys that can, he can take a game over.
Funny, I brought that up on the show there, Brownie. Almost like I watched Spam and Bourbon yesterday.
Oh, you've got your Cover Crimson subscription going, right? Cover Crimson YouTube channel pulled right up.
It had a little note.
What was the weirdest thing about Bam and Bourbon yesterday?
Oh, I only saw the Chris Youngblood part.
What do you think it was?
That you didn't drink.
That you didn't drink the bourbon.
Yeah.
Did you smell it?
I got to smell it. Oh, yeah.
Commented on the smell. What bourbon was it? Soldier, right?
It was Horse Soldier, which is a really cool story.
Yeah, I remember the story.
So I
never
never
saw
saw
we discovered that. The story we were told at the Floribama.
So
because
it's a select group of Green Berets in Afghanistan were on horseback in battle. They did a movie on it. I forgot what it was called. I never saw it. I'm sure you went to the theater and saw it.
I forgot what that one was called.
But have you seen it?
I saw bits and pieces of it.
Yeah. But anyway, Horse Soldier.
The Horse Soldier would be a great name of the movie.
It's a homage to those guys, and it's really, really cool backstory.
Yeah. So I like that story.
Yeah.
I like
there
that
is
story.
a horse
12 strong.
12 strong. That's right. I remember that now.
Yeah. Who was in that?
Let's see.
I mean, they normally throw Mark Wahlberg in here. But
Chris Hemsworth, Michael Pena, Michael Shannon, Taylor Sheridan.
Hey, you know what randomly came up on my...
Taylor Sheridan actually in it?
Yes. He
always plays a badass.
Before he wrote.
What came up? Michael Shannon doing the See You Next Tuesday punt, the Georgia sorority, the one that sent out the internal memo about, hey, we've got to get better. These fraternities are going to hate us. Do you guys not remember that letter that went out from? It was either their rush chairman, their social chair, or the president of the sorority.
Vaguely,
and she sent that letter out. And Michael Shannon, in front of a fireplace, redid it, and it was absolutely classic. I mean, classic.
Oh, side note, did y'all ever see that? Apparently, a couple of sorority group chats, made it public after the Georgia kid Parker Jones stepped in front of the official, got that 15-yard penalty, and apparently they just started flooding social media with bad stories about Parker Jones and their sorority sisters.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
they put him on blast?
Yeah, I just was reading, man, Parker Jones is getting killed by the Georgia sororities. Things that he's done since he's been there and things like that. And
that's
poor guy.
I was like, I never saw any of the posts.
He is immortalized, though.
He is.
Sadly.
Like, Georgia fans will remember that guy in 20 years.
Now, it's not going to be as bad as the old boy that tackled the guy for Alabama off the bench. In the
but you don't remember his name, do you?
And you don't have social media back then.
I want to say Tommy Lewis, but that was a different Alabama player, wasn't it?
I don't know. That's a familiar name.
But
Did you find the story?
I do remember the quote is, I just had too much Bama in me. It's one of the greatest quotes of all time. I had too much Bama in me.
Didn't Harvey Updike say that too?
He did, I believe, yeah.
I have a friend who you guys met. Remember the guy used to come and drink about 17 bourbons when we'd do the show in Atlanta?
Oh, yeah, I do.
His glassy eyes at 10 a.m.
Yeah, his son is Parker Jones. Not the one that did it, but he's Parker Jones from the state of Georgia.
Oh, different guy, okay.
So he's been getting a couple of social media hits on his he's a Drum Corps International drummer. But he's been getting a couple of the stray bullets from fans.
Well, you think Parker would join us and be our analyst for the college football playoffs?
No, break down the rest of the playoffs.
Or do you think he's been given the gag order from Kirby?
I doubt he's part of the team.
Parker Jones from the sidelines? From the white area?
Yes.
What do we call it?
I do love, like, the next, they cover it, they do the penalty and all, and then, like, 2 minutes later they show him. He's standing behind like 4 Georgia players. He's as far back as he can get.
He's back by the electronic audio stack.
Now, I thought ESPN went back to him way too often in the second half.
Way too much. And his dad, his brothers, everybody's getting shit.
Yeah, at the end of the game, it was way too much there. And I've seen the video looks worse, but still photographs. The kid was 1 foot into the white area.
He was barely in.
And it was almost like the ref
Like he leaned into a pitch?
Like he could have avoided him with a lean to the left, and he leaned to the right.
The ref is I don't know who it is, straight up poon, though.
Like, I am not going to lie. I am not going to lie about this. I will be as honest as I can and tell this story. And y'all are probably going to think differently of me after I tell this story. Okay? I'll go ahead and warn you up.
Oh, wow.
I'm in a restaurant, and it's one of those where the parents are letting the kids run wild, which drives me insane. Okay?
Oh, no.
Parents letting the kids run wild.
I think you should stop right now.
Now, there used to be a place in Mountain Brook. It's
yeah. It was a lot like that.
Oh, my gosh.
It was Rockstar's least favorite
place they
to play.
just let the kid off the leash, and they just ran circles.
And the parents are just not paying attention to them, and they're running around our table. And
oh, Brown, stop.
I
know where you're going.
I had gotten up to go to the restroom, and I'm standing there, and I did not move, and the kid ran into me. Like, could I have avoided him? Yes, I could have. But I was just doing what I normally do. Kid comes screaming around the table, bounces right off me, starts crying, and then the parents paid attention. Now,
did he get snot on you?
Oh no, he just hit my leg. I mean, it was a little kid hit my leg. He just bounced off of me. It didn't hurt him. He bounced off my leg. I wasn't trying to hurt the kid. I'm saying I just got up to go to the bathroom just like this. Kid comes around. I could have probably athletically gotten out of the way.
I thought you were saying you put an elbow into the kid.
I thought you were going to lean a little hip.
Nope. I just stood my ground and let the kid bounce off of me intentionally. I'm saying it was not accidental. It was intentional.
That's still pretty crappy.
Do you ever give the parent...
Crappy? The parents are crappy for letting the kid run.
Do you give the parents a look ever?
Doesn't mean you have to post up.
I didn't post up. I was going to the bathroom.
I will flash the parents a look. Like,
let me know the chat room.
I'd already done that.
Is that crappy on Brown to not avoid a toddler who doesn't know better?
Toddler is an overstatement. Probably 3 or 4 years old.
Okay.
It's more than a toddler.
Well, he's getting around
that kid doesn't know. He only knows what his parents teach him.
Did you learn?
Don't say hot stove.
No, by the way, a kid that age, it's more on 90% on the parent.
Oh, it is all the parent. It's 100% on the parent.
You should say something to the parent. Don't hip check the kid.
Look, and I do feel bad for some parents that have their hands full, but sometimes you just can't go out to dinner if you've got your hands full.
But just pay attention is all I'm asking. Like, maybe say, hey, Carter. Sorry, I don't mean to pick one of your kids, but that was the first name that came to mind.
Harper.
Oh, wait, another one of Dunaway's kids. No, the Dunaway kids never did that. They hate me for it, but I would get up and walk out.
Okay, if we were in Mount Brook, it'd be like, Rawlings, don't be running around the table. Come sit over here. Aiden, go run outside if you're going to run.
It'll be 7 more seconds when it gets into the social media room. But
so would a shot
if it's little Lincoln, it's okay during one of our shows. We love him.
Would a shot caller be frowned upon?
Yes.
No, it's just amazing that you put one on a dog and shock the shit out of the dog. But boy, you put one on a kid that's whining at Outback.
Hey, by the way, chat room, that went way more in my favor than you thought it was going to when you set up the chat room there.
It shouldn't. It's bad on you, chat room. Bad on you, chat room.
No, Brown is right on this one.
They do call the shot caller place Guantanamo.
Dunaway likes to instigate the kid. He was playing peekaboo that time on the
show being brought to you by a couple of our great sponsors. Before we wrap up our Alabama basketball conversation and get to 4 downs, one of them is our friends at A+ Brownie.
A+ bathandkitchen.com. A+ bathandkitchen.com. That is the website to go to when you're ready to redo that master bath in your home, the master bedroom closet in your home, the kitchen in your home. If those things are outdated and you're just tired of them, get with my man Brad Bell there, A+ Bath and Kitchen. Scott is showing you some before and afters in the Brown house. This is the master bathroom in our house that Brad Bell and his crew redid. My wife Jennifer, when it came time to redo it, scoured the internet looking for the right person for the job. She hired Brad. I'm glad she did. His crews came out and did tremendous work for us. Tremendous work. They were clean. They worked hard every day. At the end of the day, they brought us in to show us the work they had done to make sure it met our specifications there, and it did. Let me just tell you that. Brad Bell, here is his number, 205-422-1758. That's 205-422-1758, or aplusbathandkitchen.com to see more of their work. aplusbathandkitchen.com.
And our friends at Urology Centers of Alabama, urologycentersalabama.com. 16 locations, 35 urologists. They treat everything from prostate health to kidney stones, vasectomies, and everything in between. Guys, as you age a little bit from 20 to 30 to 40, They'll take care of you. You want to stay on top of your health? You do that by scheduling an appointment today. Call that number, 205-930-0920, or visit urologycentersalabama.com. Great people. They'll take care of everything. urologycentersalabama.com. Cut number 4, Tyler. One more thing over on Alabama playing at South Carolina tonight. The Gamecocks had won 7 in a row until they started SEC play at Mississippi State, where they got beat by 35. Here's a positive for Alabama. They're one of the lowest scoring teams in the SEC. They're only averaging just a little over 73 or just under 74 points a game. Remember the name Nick Pringle? He's actually having better stats at South Carolina than he did at Alabama. He's averaging 10.6 rebounds a game. So Nick Pringle, part of that Final Four team. And I thought Nick was huge on helping Alabama get to the Final Four.
Oh, absolutely he was, yeah.
Yeah, Pringle's a good player.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of minutes he'd be getting in Tuscaloosa right now.
I don't either.
I mean, assuming Amore still comes in, right? I mean, with Pringle there, assuming you still get Amore. Amore's getting minutes in front of Pringle.
Yeah.
Reed's getting minutes in front of Pringle.
Sherrell's
not getting a ton of minutes.
Yeah, that would be the division point there. I think Sherrell would get more minutes than Pringle will because I like his game a little bit.
Yeah, there's a reason this number's 10.5. South Carolina's offense is that bad. And you look at Alabama over the last 2 years, they've gone 100+ 14 times, which, by the way, is the most in all of college basketball.
Were you watching the game Saturday night? Well, you were at the game Saturday night. Watching the game when they showed that.
So it's 50-50 if I was watching.
Yeah, who knows? You were watching on TV, though. They showed that stat, and I wish I had done a screenshot of it. I had people over, and I couldn't do it. The number of 100-plus point games Alabama has had under Nate Oates, and the number they've had in the rest of the history of Alabama basketball. It was an amazing graphic.
So are there more under Oates?
Oh, yeah. That's what's crazy.
That's pretty crazy.
Or it may not have been the history of Alabama basketball. Maybe it was like the 35 years before Oates got there or something, but it was this insane stat.
Oh, I think it's the history.
It might be. I don't know. I'll text Steven Gonzalez and see if he I'm sure he fed him the number. Actually, it was probably in the game notes, and we just don't read the game notes. But.
Yeah, I do sometimes.
It's
a lot of notes.
I'll see if I can get it by the end of the show. I'll text Gonzo.
Yeah, you're talking about a waste of paper.
Yeah, Steven and Vivian kick out a lot of game notes.
Yeah.
And so does Marlene at Auburn. You can't read them all.
You can't read them all. By the way, Alabama, the number one scoring offense in the nation, 91.1. So you're going against an offense that doesn't score a ton, as you just said, with South Carolina, and they're having to slow down the top scoring offense of the nation.
Yeah. And then there's Alabama, what they're dealing with right now. You think Alabama's under the radar?
I just got a text from a buddy, and he said, hey, I think Auburn is the best team in the SEC. Florida is probably second.
Ahead of Tennessee, who they just beat. Yeah, I wonder how that game would have been if it was in Knoxville last night.
Different.
To see your point.
Yeah, it's different. With all that said, I mean, I just think the SEC is so good.
Yep.
Yeah, I think Alabama's a little under the radar, sure.
Going to South Carolina before he gets on the plane. Final Four last year, Nate Oates gets asked about Alabama under the radar to a couple of teams we just mentioned.
You mentioned competing for the conference. It seems like when that talk, at least currently this season, it's been like Auburn and Tennessee at that 1A range, and then you guys maybe in that 1B range, just in terms of perception. Does that give a chip on your shoulder? Is that something that the players kind of are looking to prove?
You know what? You'd have to ask them, but I would hope it would. But I mean, I understand it. Yeah, we've got something to prove. We're flying under the radar a little bit, which is nice for a change. So we gotta come in playing like we've got something to prove every game out.
So I know
you picture them as being they are a little
bit.
I mean, compared to Auburn and Tennessee, they are
oddly a little bit. I think they are under the radar.
I know there's the Ken Palm stat that you're going to give us once we get to March.
That's right.
So I know the answer before I ask this. Like in college football, you really need like almost a top 20 offense and defense to win a national championship. Alabama right now leads the country in scoring at 91.1 points per game, but they're 313th defensively, giving up 77 points per game. I don't think, and I know this is not going to be in the Ken Palm metric, but when you're scoring that many points, you can give up 70 plus.
That's right. It's almost like BYU in the 80s in football.
Yeah.
If you're going to go score 40 or 50, you can give up 30.
The good news as it relates to that stat is the way Ken Palm does it, they're 44th. And the Ken Palm stat, I'll have to go back and look, but I think it's top 40. Is it top 40 offense or top 40 defense? I've got it written down. I'd have to go back and look at it. And when we get closer, I'll start giving it to you.
But they are giving up 77.4 points per game. I mean, that is a lot of points. But again, when you're averaging more than almost 15 points per game, more than the 77.
I mean, to compare to Duke, 9th in offense, 1st in defense on KenPom. To compare to Auburn, 1st in offense, 19th in defense. Tennessee, 33rd offense, 3rd defense. So, it is 44th is in KenPom. I'm sure Nate Oates does not want to be there. But, boy, that offense erases a lot of issues.
Better than 101, where I think they were last year when they were going into the NCAA tournament.
Which, by the way, ended up in the Final Four. Now, they weren't good enough to win the national championship, which is what that stat indicates.
Okay, 4 downs and then Roman Harper. 4 Downs is brought to you by our friends at Slice. Great locations there at Slice.
5 locations for you. Stop in, check them out. Created by the late Jeff Bajai, his brothers Jason and Chris. Continue to celebrate his legacy. Lakeview, Vestavia, Montevallo, Crestline, newest location right there in Edgewood. Local pizza, local ingredients. For more information, slicebirmingham.com.
First down.
Would you take a first-time quarterback to win a Super Bowl this year, or one of the 3 that already have? Russell Wilson, Matt Stafford, Pat Mahomes?
No to Russell Wilson, so take that out. So it's down to 2 versus the field. I think I would take the field.
Yeah, I would take a first-time winner.
Well, and especially the way that Josh Allen and Lamar are playing right now.
I know.
But both of those traditionally have playoff issues.
Yeah. No offense.
Oh, so I went through this, and I know we're going to get to teams in the playoffs and what the expectations are.
Yep.
I have got, of the 14 coaches, how many have winning postseason records? And of the 14 starting quarterbacks, how many have winning records? And I came across one of the most amazing stats that I've ever seen when I went through that this morning.
That the Buccaneers have a winning record when they're in the playoffs? We just don't get to the playoffs a lot?
I bet you guys are close to 500.
Yeah, you've made 2 Super Bowl runs.
We've won 2 Super Bowls, and we've been in a few NFC championship games.
Yeah.
We just don't get to the playoffs a lot to lose.
I think, look, Mahomes, I can't say I'd be shocked.
Yeah.
Because they just find ways to win. The Rams have got a really difficult path, and the Steelers are no good. So I would take the field, too.
I would, too.
Second down.
David Bowie would have been 78 years old.
David Bowie's dead?
He's been dead
for almost 10 years.
Yes, I mean,
I'd love to laugh. I think that was a Forrester laugh back there.
Gone.
Okay,
dead, buried, and gone. As
so just hear me out. David Bowie, obviously, a very successful artist.
Is he not in that commercial where they're complaining about the business people? You got to stop calling yourself rock stars. Is he not sitting at the table?
Billy Idol.
Billy Idol. Okay.
David Bowie and Billy Idol are a lot alike.
I may not know. I may not know what David Bowie looks like.
Okay, so if I asked you though, better career, David Bowie or Dave Thomas?
Oh, Dave Thomas,
Wendy's?
better career. Yeah, Wendy's Dave Thomas, better career than David Bowie. Yeah, I mean, there's a Wendy's everywhere, and he's made a.
I like Dave Thomas's product better than I do.
Burgers though.
No, they didn't used to be. It used to be the best fast food burger out there.
It was Tyler. The Wendy's is. It's a quarter of what it used to be.
All fast food has a lot of our childhood fast foods are not what they used to be.
I can still taste
better products have come on
and smell the old Valley Avenue Wendy's in the foil wrapper.
Foil wrapper, you know.
too.
Oh, so good. Yeah.
That was the closest one, right? The first
Well,
one.
that was the first one.
Yeah, in our area.
Yeah,
it was the best. It was the best.
I think I'm going to go Dave Thomas.
No, it's Dave Thomas. Not even close.
It's not even close.
It's not even close. It's Dave Thomas.
I don't know, man.
I'm going Bowie because I can only remember the Yellow Cup Wendy's being somewhat good, and that was kind of just decent. I'd rather have a different restaurant.
Yeah. So David Bowie was part of the Police? Nope.
That was Sting.
You just do this for attention.
No. I'm trying to find out what David Bowie was good at. Let's do third down.
You amaze me, Jim. Amaze me.
You have to admit there's some likeness between the 3 I was naming.
We got more coming up. We're just hitting the tip here.
Wow.
Third down.
Stephen Hawking would have been 83 today.
Oh, God.
Stephen Hawking.
Was he the Microsoft guy?
No, I know Stephen Hawking.
Let him roll. Stephen Hawking or Stephen King?
Stephen King wrote horror films and books.
That's correct. You got that one.
Yeah. So who had a better career?
Yeah.
Stephen King, in my opinion. I don't like
theory
his work.
Evolution is pretty big, right?
Well, when do I use that?
Didn't do the
what did he do?
Darwin.
No, that was Darwinism, right?
Yeah, Darwin.
Yeah, I think he just.
No, he did the theory of something. Relativity, right?
No.
That was Einstein.
That was Einstein.
Yeah.
We'll get there. I'm telling you.
Boy, you.
Yeah.
You know what? Theories are your David Bowie.
No, he did it. He did a theory. He did a big one.
Yeah. It's going to be Stephen King. I'm not a huge fan of his work, but I'll recognize Stephen King.
Help me out with Stephen Hawking here.
I think it was something with quantum physics.
Yeah, okay.
My internet's not working.
Quantum physics.
I would go Stephen King.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. Me too.
Fourth down.
I think Stephen King was going to be.
How about this? Elvis would have only been 90 today.
That's hard to believe,
Crazy.
really. Yeah.
Or Elvis is 90 today, depending on your belief system.
Ultimately, Elvis or Taylor Swift?
Better career is going to be Taylor Swift when it's all said and done.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I mean, that moment in time.
I mean, she's going to live a lot longer.
That's right.
Was he the king of rock and roll? Do they call him that?
Yeah.
They call him the king. Yeah.
Yeah, the king of. I mean, he started it.
I mean, you still got people running around Vegas that are dressed like him.
Yeah, you can't. I don't. I think it's hard to unseed the person that sort of started the genre.
Well, I want to go back room what you guys think about this, because Swift, obviously, I mean, but Elvis, like, if you ever go, and I know you weren't impressed with Graceland, I highly recommend Graceland because I think it shows you how big of a superstar he was.
I'm not an Elvis fan. I am a Taylor Swift fan, though.
We know that.
Yeah, I'm just saying that. But for me to say Elvis, that's a big stretch for me.
I just don't. I don't think you're going to have a Taylor Swift Graceland. I don't know. Yeah. I think I would lean Elvis here. What do you guys think?
Elvis, he had a lot less competition, so he could become a bigger icon. He had more market share than I think Taylor Swift.
Yeah, but he's still. Point. I mean, you say that, but there's still like this huge appetite for Elvis now in 2025. And is there going to be that for Taylor Swift when she's off the earth for 30 or 40 years?
That's our 4 downs, brought to you by our friends at Slice.
5 great locations, lunch or dinner, from the soul pie to the hot mama, the wing and a prayer, the Bajaya special. You're going to love it. For more information, slicebirmingham.com.
Tyler, let's go ahead and bring in our buddy Roman Harper here, and we'll talk to Roman about what is going on with the college football playoffs and this Alabama roster. Brownie, bring Roman in here, man.
Can we ask Roman the last question we just asked?
Sure, why not? We'll start that way with the SEC Network and ESPN's Roman Harper, always good with his time with us. You saw him in New Orleans as he watched Georgia and Notre Dame with his own 2 eyeballs. We're going to talk about the college football playoff teams. Lance, first of all, Harp, I hope you're doing well. Happy New Year. How are you?
Happy New Year's. What's up, fellas?
Oh, wait. It is.
I heard your guys' conversation. I mean, it was deep, but then it got weird, and then I think it went even deeper.
And then weirder.
Harper, simple, though.
Then it went weirder, yeah.
So Elvis would have been 90 today. It's hard to believe. I think he died before you were born. But ultimately, who's going to have the bigger career, Elvis or Taylor Swift?
I mean, I don't think Elvis's career ever ends. Let's just start off with that. People still imitate him, like you said. He's still out there. And it depends on Taylor Swift's life. Like, maybe Taylor Swift eventually stops doing music. Well, doesn't stop, but, like, she gets married, she has kids. Like, she could, like, have a real life. So I think that is yet to be determined what could happen.
Yeah, good point, because Elvis made a lot of money, but he didn't make Taylor Swift money. She's got enough where she never has to write another.
Yeah.
She can shut it down at whatever she is, 35 years old.
She didn't have a Colonel Tom Parker. Yeah. I mean, Colonel Tom was taking all Elvis's money.
Yeah, exactly. So, Roman, before we get into the playoffs and stuff, Keon Sabb coming back. I've been excited. I've been excited about the defensive names that are coming back in Tuscaloosa. If Lawson can be healthy, Justin Jefferson, Damani Jackson. There's some people that could have left that are coming back. LT Overton, Keenan on the defensive line. What do you think about those guys re-upping in Tuscaloosa and not going elsewhere or the NFL?
Hey, I mean, congrats. I mean, I don't think they all – I think it's smart anytime you can continue to try and – especially because now these guys can make a little money. It's not like any of these guys are quote unquote struggling.
That's right.
I don't even know if you're even going to class like they have to. I don't even know those situations anymore. Because once you start paying these kids money, how are you not going to? They all passing, right? Like you're no longer ineligible. So it's just I think it's a great opportunity on both sides for the players to take this time to get better because they all were not ready for the NFL to come in and take somebody's roster spot. Guaranteed. And so it's a great opportunity for them as players, but then also as coaches to, all right, let's have some kind of familiar establishment it would be your second year in this program, second year on this defense. Maybe everything will start to make a little bit more sense. It'll slow down for everybody, and everybody kind of learns the way each other plays. And, having a sense of cohesiveness, I think that could be really good for the coaches and players.
So one thing we've noticed, Harp, is we've talked about Alabama. The fans finished the season with more confidence in Kane Womack's unit than they did in Alabama's offense, which is pretty crazy. But we are getting more complaints about offense for Alabama than defense. They kind of turned the corner on Kane Womack. You were critical. You watched the film. You don't just see the results. You watch the film. Did you turn a little bit of a corner on that defense too, or you still have questions?
I will forever have questions because I'm naturally inquisitive, especially as a defensive player that's played it, sees it. I will naturally always have some pushback because I look at it from the player's perspective, not from the coach's perspective. And so it's more importantly to always try to respect the player's opinion because they're the ones that are on the field doing it. So if they're messing it up, it's because they don't understand naturally. Or you're coaching it and you're just calling plays and getting lucky and putting guys in certain situations. But I thought Alabama's defense had ups, downs. It's still things about eye discipline I will always want to know and maybe see things better or differently. But that's Kane Womack's defense. That's how they're calling it. As long as they call it a certain way and they play complementary football, they're going to win the games. And that's what ultimately I root for Alabama to do. I don't care how it gets done as long as it gets done. And so, but I get paid money to question, poke holes in, and tell you what I see with my own eyes and be objectively, fair to everybody, not just Alabama, but everybody.
Okay, with that said, 4 losses now that you've had time to process it. And by the way, the offense in 3 of those 4 losses against Tennessee, against Oklahoma and Michigan was absolutely atrocious. Year 1, Kalen DeBoer, what kind of letter grade would you give him?
I'd say a B. Maybe a B plus.
Damn,
it's like a mid B. I don't know about a B plus. Like somewhere like an 86 and a half.
Wow.
Is that about right? Yeah.
Well, I mean, I gave him a D. I think Brown gave him a D, and I think maybe Dunaway C.
I gave him a C plus.
I gave him a C, I thought.
Yeah, I give him a B. Look, first of all, let's take a step back here. If you'd have told me Alabama was going to not win 10 games for the first time since Nick Saban's first year, 16 years ago, I'd have been like, I could see that happening. If you're going to tell me that they were going to have 3 regular season losses, and 2 of them being Tennessee and Oklahoma at the beginning of the season, I'd have said I could have seen that. But the reason you feel the way you feel is because the way you got those results, right? You beat Georgia, which everybody just thought you could have lost that game. It's very easily. And then you followed up by losing to Vanderbilt, which you haven't lost to Vanderbilt since 1984. Then you you lose to Tennessee. You guys just look so inadequate offensively. And then all of a sudden that happens when you're supposedly an offensive-minded coach. That's why we bring it in, especially because the offense was supposed to be ahead. Then it was defense when the defense was playing good. Very unkiltered all year long. Everybody was kind of firing on all cylinders. Then you beat LSU the way you did. Everybody's back again. Then you lose the way you did to Oklahoma. Just awful performance. And then finishing up with losing to Michigan's backups mostly. And so it's a terrible way to finish. I give you a B on the season just because I thought you accepted a hard job, a hard situation, that it's still Alabama. You still really showed some really good things, and you did a heck of a job recruiting as well through it all on a short term where you're just kind of getting into this program. You had to re-recruit everything. I give you a B on your first year. I thought it was much better than what everybody wants to think. I'm not going to be caught up in the motions of just losing to Michigan the last game, which they played terrible. Just flat out, they played terrible. But that's kind of who this team has been all year.
In fairness, remembering, I think I gave him a B minus, not to kiss Roman's butt or anything, but I think it was a B minus. Roman Harper is with us here on the next round. College football playoffs. We get back to the semifinals tomorrow night. The Friday game I want to ask you about, how does Texas slow down Ohio State's offense that's now putting up 40-plus points a game in the college football playoffs? What can Texas do to disrupt what is now an Ohio State juggernaut offensively?
Number one, be who you are. Be who you've been all year long, which is a tough, badass defense that don't take nothing from nobody. That's what you have been all year. Be that. And also, most importantly, understand where Jeremiah Smith is at all times. He is Weapon X. And if where Weapon X is, if he's not in his normal positions, your antennas have to be up. This is a game that you have to think through. One thing that I learned when playing in the NFL is that the wins are all in the details. When you have a specific game plan, you got to go out there and execute it, because at the NFL, everybody's good. So it comes all about the game plan, all about the little nuances and every little nugget that you can do. And what I saw Ohio State do versus Oregon was not paying attention to the details. They jumped out on Oregon, and next you know that game was over. They jumped out on Tennessee because they weren't paying it. Tennessee trying to do some different things, and all of a sudden the game's over. Texas, I'm not going to say it's a glorified home game, but you're in the state of Texas, so you will have a little bit of pizzazz about you. And Texas has a really, really good secondary. You got to stop Jeremiah Smith. That's your understanding of where he lines up at. When he's at the number 2 spot, when he's close to the end man in the line of scrimmage, these are certain telltales. He's going behind the line of scrimmage to be one-on-one situations on the backside. They're taking the top off of him, trying to get him level with one-on-one versus a free safety in the middle of the field. If you're covering him, you got to spend time on him. You got to slow him down early. You can't just let him run down the middle of your field. He's the guy that you have to pay attention and try and really focus on, and then make them beat you doing other things, which they still have the ability to. It's just harder to do. You got to take away the deep play and the explosive plays if I'm Texas, because that's the one thing that Ohio State has changed up in the playoffs, and that's why they're winning the way they are.
Quinn Ewers, we played it on the show. He told the media in Austin that field goals are doing you no good in this game. I mean, do you think Sark plays it that way? I mean, is he going to, hey, fourth and 2 from the 30, let's just go, man, no kicking?
No, look, everybody thinks that stuff works, but then, it can cost you as well. You saw it with Detroit and Minnesota. Eventually, these teams, you got to start taking points. You can't just assume we're always just going to get back. You do it once, twice, you're like, all right, I got to get some points here, because at the end of the day, it's still points that's what wins you games ultimately. So you say that, I think you just want to have an aggressive mentality going into it. That's what he's telling them. That's one way. It's like, hey, we're going to be very aggressive in this game because we know we have to score. I think that also may be a reason why we see a better version of Texas offensively, because Texas starts fast, then they end up playing with their food, allow teams to come back, then they turn it on again. If they're having to go against Ohio State, maybe they're saying, hey, we just have to stay aggressive the whole time. There's no taking your foot off the gas. Maybe that's something they're doing internally as well.
Outside of Texas, Arizona State, I mean, these games have been garbage, all double-digit blowouts. But this game tomorrow night, when you look at Notre Dame, Penn State, I really don't see a path to somebody winning this game by double digits. I think this should be a tremendous game. You?
Yeah, especially because both of these teams want to win the same way. Line of scrimmage games. I'm looking at Notre Dame matching up versus Penn State. The one thing I give Notre Dame, first of all, Marcus Freeman deserves a lot of credit. He outcoached Kirby Smart and the Georgia Bulldogs.
Hey, 13-5 against top 25s now. I mean, that guy, he's getting it done.
Yeah, he's flat out coaching his butt off, and his team believes. You saw that speech before the game. If you didn't, you need to see it by Notre Dame's offensive linemen. They were juiced. They were ready to go. He's got those guys playing at a different level. And this Notre Dame team is still, whether you like the minute or not, they're the hottest team in the country. They've won more games consecutively than anybody else. And so they've earned the right to be here. They're playing really, really well. Give them a lot of credit for their offensive line instilling their will on Georgia by the fourth quarter. That could still happen again versus Penn State. That's going to be the matchup. Penn State up front, they got some athletic guys that get after the passer. They're disruptive. They win up front by speed and agility. I want to see what Notre Dame's power downhill running will be able to do. Not running sideline to sideline like Boise State maybe tried to do, or what SMU naturally does with their run game. But Notre Dame really trying to push them around early and try and control the game from that front, and then play stymie enough defense to try and slow down Aller and that running game of Singleton and those guys. So we'll see. That's going to be a great matchup too. But I agree. I think it's going to be another defensive battle. And Notre Dame has found a way to win games recently because of the big play, the kickoff return. Then they had the 2 interceptions versus USC, and then what they had another big special teams play in the Penn State in the first round.
Yeah.
So that's what Notre Dame's doing. Oh, the 98-yard run.
Yeah.
They have a big play that kind of sets it off. So we'll see. Notre Dame's, they found a way.
All right, he is Roman Harper. At Harp41 is where you find him on social media. You see him on the SEC Network and ESPN talking about all these games. Harp, thank you for the time, man. Enjoy the games.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks as always, man. I just got the barbershop. Hey, look, who you guys taking? Give me your picks. Go.
I am Ohio State, Penn State.
Ohio State, Notre Dame.
I am leaning Ohio State and Penn State.
All right. No Texas. All
No
right,
Texas. That's exactly what Sark wants. He wants us down again.
Save the graphic, Harper.
What about you? Are you going? Are you going Texas?
I have not. I'm hedging right now. I haven't decided.
He
I
gets
gotta get to that. When I get to Dallas, I have a feel.
Yeah, he gives his picks
I'm a
for
field
pay
guy.
somewhere else.
Hey, bring a scarf and a hoodie, man. It's going to be cold.
I'll tell you what you're going to feel is bone-chilling cold is what you're going to feel when you get to Dallas.
Thanks,
Luckily,
Roman.
we're inside.
Yeah, that's true. See you, Harp. Thank you. You got to get outside at some point to get to that stadium. Roman Harper with us on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline.
I saw today the last time they had significant downfall of snow was
Snowfall?
Yeah, snowfall was like 2 days before their first Super Bowl.
Wow.
In 2011.
And so here we go again.
Yep.
Quick break here. We're back in a moment on the next round. Stay with us.
Call the next round now at 205-734-0923.
The beauty of the holiday is at the center of your table with the New York Butcher Shop. Their selection of USDA certified Angus prime rib roast, beef tenderloins, and fillets, as well as premium pork and lamb cuts, are the finest selections available in the market and are hand cut just the way you want. With side dishes handmade by their professional chefs, your holiday meal is complete. Visit one of their 2 locations today, in Cahaba Heights or off Highway 119 in Greystone. Place your order today. The New York Butcher Shop. Rare quality, well done service.
Hey, there's nothing worse than waking up to a plumbing problem. Don't get caught in a flooded house. Call the guys at Hemphill Services. Adam, Chad, and the team at Hemphill are the only ones I trust to fix it and fix it right the first time. Hemphill Services does it right and always at a fair price. For all of your plumbing, cooling, and heating needs, trust the name that Birmingham has trusted since 1954. That is Hemphill Services. Call now, 205-229-2090. That's 205-229-2090.
The World Wide Web is a large place. Find all your favorite people and content in the same spot. NextRoundLive.com is full of wonderful tidbits about the show you know and love. Find our gear, listen to your favorite personalities, follow our socials, and enjoy your trip to NextRoundLive.com.
Hang out with the Next Round on the go. Whether you're driving to work, running errands, sitting on the beach, or you just need a break from the real world, we can keep you company. Check out the Next Round, Mystery Fifth Hour, and our other shows on your favorite podcast app. We'll meet you there.
Start your day online with our website, nextroundlive.com, for the latest videos, podcasts, and college football stories. It's also a great way to stream the show or shop in the Next Round store. Stay connected by visiting nextroundlive.com.
Take TNR on the go with a podcast built for your satisfaction. Miss Hour 1, find it in podcast form. Miss Hour 2, stream it now. Miss Hour 3, download it for later. Miss Hour 4, well, just know it's never coming back. Listen to TNR wherever you find podcasts.
Start your day online with our website, nextroundlive.com, for the latest videos, podcasts, and college football stories. It's also a great way to stream the show or shop in the Next Round store. Stay connected by visiting nextroundlive.com.
From the creators of The Next Round comes 2 new sites, covercrimson.com and thebarnauburn.com. 2 team sites with the same excitement and information-driven content that you get every day on The Next Round. Live daily shows, recorded shows, free of charge, plus premium content with insider information starting at just $1. And it's the perfect gift for the Alabama or Auburn fan in your family. Covercrimson.com or thebarnauburn.com. Sign up today.
Follow Next Round Live on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. The social media team at Next Round Live is dedicated to giving you daily news conferences and practice video from UAB, Alabama, Auburn, and around college football. Follow and compare to the sites you used to visit. You'll also get the latest highlights and news from the Next Round Daily Show. Turn on the notifications so you don't miss a thing. Next Round Live on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. See more at nextroundlive.com.
By now, you guys know how I feel about my fashion. However, did you know that I care about your fashion choices? cargo shorts are out, flip-flops are only appropriate on the boat, and please throw away that stained t-shirt from college. You may be thinking, EG, that's all I own. What do I do? Here's what you do. Go to nextround.store and fill your cart with a wardrobe that is approved by me. Stock up on logo t-shirts, hoodies for football season, and hats for every day of the week. Trust me on this one and head over to nextround.store to get stocked up for this season. Hang out with the Next Round on the go. Whether you're driving to work, running errands, sitting on the beach, or you just need a break from the real world, we can keep you company. Check out the Next Round, Mystery Fifth Hour, and our other shows on your favorite podcast app. We'll meet you there.
Back with you on the Next Round as we roll on. Before we get to the top of the hour and talk Skip Holtz. Basketball tonight for Alabama, but it's not just Alabama at South Carolina, which is on the SEC Network, 6 o'clock. Interesting game, Ole Miss at Arkansas, 6 o'clock on ESPN2, and Texas A&M at Oklahoma, 8 o'clock on the SEC Network. Some of the good SEC basketball that is happening tonight. That look ahead brought to you by our friends at Michelson Laser Vision.
205-969-8100. That is the number you need to call. As for Amy, tell her the Next Round sent you. They're going to hook you up with a hassle-free consultation. You have zero to lose to find out if LASIK is right for you. I got the procedure done 21 years ago. It'll be 22 years this year. I still have 2015 vision, better than 2020. Dr. Mark Michelson, Dr. Jen Michelson, best in the business. Tell them the Next Round sent you. For more information, michelsonlaservision.com.
All right, so I've got the two Alabama stats for you. Here's the one the SEC Network showed that I brought up earlier. And thank you to Daryl for sending me the actual screenshot of the graphic on the SEC Network. 6 years under Nate Oates, Alabama has had 25 games scoring 100 or more points. The 31 years prior to Nate Oates, which takes you back to 1988, late in the Wimp era, Alabama has 22 games. From 1988 until Nate Oates took over, 22 games scoring more than 100. The 6 years under Oates, 25 games. That's
and
pretty
for
remarkable.
reference, 88 on, you had, the three-point line came into effect, I think, in 86, so that wasn't a factor. Shot clock a little bit different, style of play a little bit different, but that's still amazing.
It is. And I would tell you from people around the program, Nate puts a huge emphasis on scoring 100 points.
From Steven Gonzalez, who handles all the media for Alabama basketball, and responds, this is on the first page of our game notes.
Yeah.
Such a funny response.
Yeah, I mean,
he busts our balls, then he gives me the answer.
Well, I mean,
literally on the first page of our game notes.
I look at the first page of game notes. There's a lot of stuff on there.
I know. Like who's doing the game, what
There's
time
a lot
of game.
of stuff on there. Yeah, a lot of stuff.
This from Steven. Alabama has scored 100 points or more 93 games in school history. 93 in school history. I've already told you Nate Oates has 25 of those. That's 25% of them.
Yeah,
or 27% of them.
A little more than a quarter of them right there.
That's pretty remarkable.
Really amazing stat. UAB wins last night, by the way, at home against Tulane. Blazers finding a little footing, 2-1 now in the AAC. Big night from Yaks last night. Lindenborg, 25 points, 13 rebounds, 8 assists in that game for UAB in that contest. We talked a couple of times about Auburn holding off Texas last night. Florida beating Tennessee. Georgia beat Kentucky last night. And Mississippi State stayed unbeaten. Did you guys see the Cooper Flag dunk in the Duke game?
I did. Boy, that was a blowout leading into the golf thing.
Forrester they have been dominating everybody in the ACC.
Forrester came rolling in with that early this morning.
I mean,
and we're heading for a championship there. We're heading for a championship, too, in the UFL again. We're about to talk to Skip Holtz here in just a second, who's popping up here with us. And I'll tell you this, Brownie. Seeing those commercials that they're running during the NFL games for the upcoming UFL season with that guy's voice from the NFL Network, who's the Stallions run wild in the springtime. And he does, a nice little saying, gets me fired up for the upcoming Birmingham Stallions season. Can we pull him up full now? Let's talk to Skip Holtz. We'll go ahead and do him before we get to the top of the hour and talk about what the Stallions have coming up here.
Yeah, Coach is back with us. He's back with Birmingham, the Birmingham Stallions, part of the USFL. All they've done is win the league every time they've played it. Welcome in, Coach. How are you?
I'm doing great. How's everybody doing there?
Doing fantastic. Thanks a lot. As we get to college football and NFL offseason starting for a lot of teams in the NFL, your offseason is ending. It's just kind of weird on the calendar to think about that.
Yeah, I had an opportunity. My son's coaching at LSU, and I had an opportunity to go to the game. And after the game, I was talking to Brian Kelly, and he said, "You know what? We're done. You're up. It's your turn." You know what I mean? Our season's over, and yours is just beginning. But I kind of like having the opportunity to spend my time in the fall. I mean, I've had an opportunity to spend some time with my family, but also had an opportunity to follow a lot of college football. So it's been a good off season, been a productive off season, and really looking forward to getting started and putting this thing together for the 2025 season.
Yeah, before we get into the 2025 Stallions, this 12-team playoff, I know the games haven't been great, a lot of blowouts. It looks like these semifinals, I mean, you've got blue bloods when we've got Notre Dame and Penn State, and obviously Texas, Ohio State. What are your thoughts, just as a former college coach, of expanding to 12, and do you like the direction that college football is going right now?
Yeah, I love the playoff. I absolutely love the playoff. I know there was a lot of criticism and a lot of debate early about what's the criteria to get in. You know, when we had 4, we were arguing about who was number 5. Now we have 12, we're arguing about who's number 13. You know, and what's the criteria? Is it quality wins? Will they haven't beat a top 25 team? Will they have 3 losses? You know, one of the things that if they don't really put some parameters in place, I think if they just say, well, it's all about win-loss record. I mean, so you have a team. Why would a team out of conference? Why would Clemson play LSU in the opening game of the year if those things are only going to hurt you? And it doesn't. If it can't help you and it's only going to hurt you, why do you do it? So I think they've got to look at some things. They've got to get the seeding right. I don't think necessarily it should go just to the 4 conference teams. I think it ought to go to the 4 highest ranked teams. Ought to be the ones that get it. So, but how great is it that we are establishing the national championship on the field? And I mean, for years, I grew up in the era when it was done with a vote, you know, and so how awesome is it that they're having the opportunity to do that on the field? I think they'll tweak it. I think they'll get it straight. They'll get it right. It'll get better and better every year that they do it. But I think it's been phenomenal, and what excitement and energy that it's creating, not only in all these home venues, but even all these games that are building up to the final, the championship game. And so I think college football is probably healthier than it's ever been from a spectator standpoint, from a fan standpoint. But at the same time, I think there's some issues inside the game with the NIL and the transfer portal and some things that they're going to have to get straight. But growing up in college football my whole life, I've loved it. And right now I'm having a good time watching it from afar.
You know, it's funny, Coach. I was talking about your dad yesterday because a friend of mine was talking about Notre Dame being back in this. And I was like, you know, when I was a kid, they won it under Lou Holtz. And then Colorado and Notre Dame were playing. Now, I don't think Notre Dame had a shot at the championship in that game in the Orange Bowl, but they could have ruined it for Colorado. And I was like, I remember how dumb that system was because Colorado and Notre Dame were playing in the Orange Bowl. Georgia Tech and Nebraska had played in the Citrus, and we just weren't playing each other. Now, I know what you're thinking right now. Rocket Ishmael, they got robbed on that punt return. But all that aside, it was such a dumb system back then, really.
No, it was. And I'll go back to when I was at Notre Dame at 93. We ended up beating Florida State in the game of the century, number 1 versus number 2. Great football game, deciding it on the field. The next week, Notre Dame loses to Boston College on a 50-yard field goal. Both teams finish 11-1, and Bobby Bowden wins a national championship, although the head-to-head went to Notre Dame, and it was all a vote. And so I think it's great. The system then, compared to now, this is 1,000 times better. I think, you know, the hard part right now, they're playing more games. I mean, you start to look at it when you go through a 12-game season, you go through the conference championship games, and then you go through a 4-game playoff. All of a sudden, you're playing 16 football games is a lot. And I know right now they're reducing the numbers down to 105. And I know one of the things they're looking at right now is granting 5 years of eligibility and getting away with red shirts, because I think it's really hard to play 16 football games if you sign 25 high school players and you redshirt them all. Now all of a sudden you're going through a 16-game season with 80 players, and you give injuries and things along those lines. So I think a lot of the rules are being looked at under this new system, because I think there's definitely some fallout from a 16-game season and then reducing the numbers. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out and how they kind of tweak it year in and year out to make sure that it's beneficial, that you're not putting your players through too much, and you're kind of riding that wagon pretty hard.
couple of months away from the Birmingham Stallions kicking off, 3-time-in-a-row champion. Skip Holtz is with us. I was talking about the commercial I saw in the middle of the NFL game about the UFL returning, and then I open up my phone because that's what we do in America now during commercial breaks. We watch a commercial and look at our phone, and I look at my phone and I see Stallions general manager Zach Potter is heading to Sacramento State to be their general manager. As you're building this roster, I know you have a hand in this. Is that a hiccup for you? What will losing Zach mean for you as you construct this version of the Stallions?
Yeah, it's a hiccup. I mean, it's a hiccup for sure. When you've got, Zach has been very involved in the free agent process and recruiting players and making the phone calls. And we put the roster together. Together. I mean, the two of us end up putting the roster together. But you know what? We'll have another GM in place. It's going to slow us down for a little bit. Like you said, it's going to be a hurdle that we'll jump, we'll climb, and we'll get ready to go. I mean, our coaches report on the 24th of February, our players report on the 27th, and then we'll get going. But we still have probably about 8 or 10 additions that we'd like to make to our roster to tweak it. Right now, you've got a lot of the futures deals are going on in the NFL, and many players have been waiting on a futures deal. And if they don't get a futures deal, then they want to have the opportunity to come play spring football. So you want to put your roster together a little bit in the fall, but you want to have some room because some really quality players are available when we get later in this process as we go through January. So I think the sense of urgency right now is to get this GM named and to put him in place so we can get going. We have a staff meeting tonight. We'll talk a lot about it, and the coaches will be very involved with some of the things that we need to get done right now.
The home opener is against Arlington Friday, April 11th. That's a 7 o'clock Central Time down at Protective Stadium. That game is on Fox. You can get season tickets, theufl.com. theufl.com.
And about that opening night, that's always when it's a tradition now, you unveil the championship banner. So make sure you're there for that first one.
That's right.
It's going to be, the other thing that's going to be great is it's going to be a Friday night, which I'm looking forward to. I know in the fall, Fridays are a little touchy because Friday's for high school football, but there is no high school football in the spring. And so being a Friday night, I think it ought to be a great venue. I think it ought to be a great crowd. You've got all day Saturday if you're involved with your kids and taking them to soccer practice and all the different things that they have to do and some of the conflicts that get in the way. But being Friday night, I think take your wife to dinner, take your family to dinner, and come join us on Friday night for that home opener. I think it ought to be a great venue.
Yeah, you can get season tickets, theufl.com. Theufl.com is where you get season tickets. In fact, the first 2 home games are Friday night home games, the 11th and the 25th of April against Arlington and Memphis. So Protective Stadium on a Friday night. And Coach has got that meeting already tonight, so he's getting ready for it. I mean, the game's not until March 30th, Coach. What are y'all meeting about, man? You got forever.
Yeah, well, we got a lot to get done. We've got to finish up the roster. We got to get playbooks finished. We got a lot of organizational stuff to do. We'll get together in Dallas on the 24th, and the players come in 27th, and they'll onboard for a couple days and get all that done and physicals, and then we'll have an opportunity to put the ball on the tee and start practicing. So I'm really excited about it. It's one of those things when the season ends, you're like, I just need a little bit of time away. But when you start turning the new year, it's like, all right, roll them up. Let's go. It's time to get started. So I'm really excited about this season. I know there's a lot of high expectations. Every team changes quite a bit every year because you get some of your players move on to the NFL and you have to replace them. But I just think it's a great brand of football. The talent that is willing to come to this league right now is getting better and better every year. And I think this is now year 4. The USFL has been doing it now for 3 years, and with the UFL merging together with the XFL a year ago, I think there was a lot of skepticism when this whole thing started. There hadn't been a spring league since the 80s that have made it past 6 games. We went through a season, then year 2, then year 3, and I think everybody's starting to look at the UFL like, all right, this is for real. It's an exciting brand of football, and I have really enjoyed coaching and having the opportunity to work with these players, and have just really enjoyed being in Birmingham with the support we receive. So we look forward to seeing everybody there that Friday night in April.
TheUFL.com to get season tickets there for the Birmingham Stallions. Coach, thank you very much for the time. Always good to see you.
I appreciate it, guys. I love talking about it because that just means we're getting closer and closer to kickoff. So exciting times.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Coach. Take care. That is Skip Holtz, the King of Spring. They don't do anything but win the league there with the Birmingham Stallions.
Absolutely. It is safe to say that the Stallions' expectation is to win a championship when we come back. The playoff teams in the NFL. Who is Super Bowl or bust? That's the conversation. More college football on the other side as well. The show being brought to you by our friends at Way to Wellness, your journey to healthy living. Aplanforme.com is the website, aplanforme.com. Leslie, that's her company. She and the board-certified team want to take care of you. It's your opportunity to start losing some weight in 2025. I'm at 188 today. I haven't been this skinny, this light since SEC Media Days in Nashville 2 years ago. So the journey continues. You can get on your own journey. All you have to do is go to aplanforme.com. There's no contract. There's no sign-up fees. And your first consultation is absolutely free. Meal replacements and also injection therapies and everything in between. Go check it out. Aplanforme.com. It's Way to Wellness, your journey to healthy living.
Everything Next Round is on demand now in the podcast section at nextroundlive.com.
Storm season is here. Make sure you have a plan of action in place right now. Greg from Pell City and Storm Restoration Roofing should be your first call when storms hit. Insurance companies love working with Storm Restoration Roofing because of Greg Nelson's name and reputation in the industry. When storms hit, call Greg Nelson. He's local, 205-542-3531. He's the home of the free no-cost roof inspection. Greg from Pell City on Facebook, 205-542-3531. It's Storm Restoration Roofing.
Hey, Lance Taylor from the Next Round to tell you about one of our favorite places for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That is Hamburger Heaven since 1982. Hamburger Heaven has been serving Birmingham's best hamburgers, cheeseburgers, French fries, hand-spun milkshakes, and sandwiches made fresh to order. All of their ingredients are fresh and prepared daily. This includes their beef, always fresh, never frozen, hand-pattied each and every day. For breakfast, lunch, or dinner, visit any of the 4 locations, Highway 280, Irondale, Gardendale, and Homewood.
Just because you've quit going to the gym, it doesn't mean that you have to quit gym altogether. Dunaway, that is. With our Next Round podcasts open 24/7, 365, you can access gym anytime you'd like. While you may have done away with your treadmill routine, our version of Dunaway is standing by ready to get you back to your absolute best. Find all that lovely Jimmy D-led content on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and in the podcast section of nextroundlive.com. This message is sponsored by Jimmy Crypto Inc. and Jimmy Crypto for President.
From the creators of The Next Round comes 2 new sites, CoverCrimson.com and TheBarnAuburn.com. 2 team sites with the same excitement and information-driven content that you get every day on The Next Round. Live daily shows, recorded shows, free of charge, plus premium content with insider information starting at just $1. And it's the perfect gift for the Alabama or Auburn fan in your family. CoverCrimson.com or TheBarnAuburn.com. Sign up today.
Happy football season. At the Next Round, we strive to make our loyal listeners feel like they're a part of the action all season long. My name is Emily Grace McWhorter, and I do that by bringing you along for any given Saturday in Auburn or Tuscaloosa. From pregame warm-ups, touchdowns that make you feel a part of the play, and everything in between, our goal is to make you feel like you're inside Bryant-Denny or Jordan Hare. Follow along on our social media at Next Round Live on Instagram, X, and Facebook. Also, check out thebarnauburn.com and covercrimson.com while you're at it. Here's to fall Saturdays.
From the creators of The Next Round comes 2 new sites, CoverCrimson.com and TheBarnAuburn.com. 2 team sites with the same excitement and information-driven content that you get every day on The Next Round. Live daily shows, recorded shows, free of charge, plus premium content with insider information starting at just $1. And it's the perfect gift for the Alabama or Auburn fan in your family. CoverCrimson.com or TheBarnAuburn.com. Sign up today.
Follow Next Round Live on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. The social media team at Next Round Live is dedicated to giving you daily news conferences and practice video from UAB, Alabama, Auburn, and around college football. Follow and compare to the sites you used to visit. You'll also get the latest highlights and news from the Next Round Daily Show. Turn on the notifications so you don't miss a thing. Next Round Live on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. See more at nextroundlive.com.
By now, you guys know how I feel about my fashion. However, did you know that I care about your fashion choices? Cargo shorts are out, flip-flops are only appropriate on the boat, and please throw away that stained t-shirt from college. You may be thinking, EG, that's all I own. What do I do? Here's what you do. Go to nextround.store and fill your cart with a wardrobe that is approved by me. Stock up on logo t-shirts, hoodies for football season, and hats for every day of the week. Trust me on this one and head over to nextround.store to get stocked up for this season.
Jim Dunaway, Lance Taylor, Ryan Brown. Live from the Birmingham Racecourse Casino Studios, the next round, presented by Bud Light, is on now.
All right, final hour of the show brought to you by, anybody know? It's Champy's Chicken, Highway 119 in Alabaster. Forrester got a raised hand back there. Sterling is down there. You think Sterling's ready for these Final Four of college football? By the way, you can't legally call it the Final Four of college football, by the way.
Because the NCAA owns the rights to the phrase Final Four.
The NCAA owns the right to the phrase Final Four. And so much like the Super Bowl gets all upset about people around the Super Bowl, they enforce all their copyrights and rules. I am told I'm not supposed to say the Final Four of college football. But LT, how many teams are left in college football?
There's 4. This is the Final Four of
Final
college
Four
football.
left.
So we are down
the final
to,
ones.
Yes,
no more games.
These are the Final Four teams that are left in college football. And you know who's excited about that? Our man Sterling at Highway 119 in Alabaster, because nothing more than Sterling likes than Final Four in college football than having a lot of people come in and get his fried chicken to take home to watch the Final Four of college football. And that's what he's going to do on Thursday and Friday when we play the Final Four of college football. You'll get that deep southern fried chicken, 2 big breasts, the great sides. He's got some dark meat in there, too. He's got the Mississippi Delta recipe tamales. He's got dessert, that Mississippi mud pie. If the Mississippi Delta tamales is your meal and you want a different appetizer, underrated Conecuh sausage, cheese, and pickle plate to start off with. I mean, that is a great, it is like a redneck charcuterie board.
I like that.
Is that fair?
Yeah, it is fair. I like that.
Yeah, a little southern charcuterie board, Conecuh sausage, cheese, and pickles. It's right there, Champy's Chicken, Highway 119 in Alabaster. I cannot endorse that more. Right?
That is correct.
Did I say that correctly? I don't want to be like that trash open with, I could not disagree with them more.
Or agree with them.
I couldn't agree. Boo.
That was John McCain, by the way.
Before we talk NFL football, college football bowl games are dead. Wrong answer.
That is incorrect.
33 non-college football playoff bowl games this year, up 14% in the ratings. It's only 2.7 million people, which compared to a random Saturday big game in college football is, anywhere from 6 to 16 million, depending on how big the game is. So it's only 2.7 million. But when you take that 2.7 million, LT, for 33 bowl games, and you break it out and you look to a regular season NBA game, or a regular season NHL game, or a regular season Major League Baseball game, that's a big number, 2.7. And all 33 of them, they average that. And you in sales, here's the number you're going to like. Ages, people, 18 to 49, number was up 21% this year, up 21%.
Hey, that's the demographic they want to grab. I think a lot of this, though, and correct me if I'm wrong, is as bad as these playoffs have been, the bowl games, some of them were amazing.
They're very entertaining, and I have never in my life, now, it sounds contradictory when I say what I'm about to say, but it is not. I believe bowl games are exhibitions outside of the playoffs. I just believe they're exhibition games. And the reason I say that, they don't impact any standings. They don't impact any meaningful rankings. I mean, it's just an exhibition game to me. It doesn't impact a championship of any sort, any standings, any meaningful rankings. There's no impact.
It does count in your win-loss record,
It does,
though.
But that doesn't impact any of that.
It doesn't impact the championship, but
our meaningful rankings, our standings, our championships.
I would say is Alabama's season, does it feel a little different after the loss to Michigan than if they had beaten Michigan?
It does.
Okay.
But I don't think Alabama fans were going to say, you know what, we beat Michigan in a bowl game that wasn't in the playoffs. That was a success.
No.
It was not going to impact that.
You're on this part of the ledge. I think you fell down here after you lost to Michigan, right? You continue to fall down the hill.
But they're exhibition games, right? But I've also never understood there's too many bowl games crowd. Why do you care if you think there only need to be 20 bowl games, you pick 20 and watch them? Yeah. Right? There are 30, how many did they say, Jim?
33 non-playoff bowl games.
33 of them. All right? So if you think, well, God, when I was growing up, there's only 18 bowl games. Okay, well, pick 18 and watch them.
Yep.
Right? There's going to be
watch
33.
the 18 that were around when you were there.
That's right. Yeah, most of them are still alive.
Yeah,
different
right? Names, but
different names. You got to
yeah.
figure out that ReliaQuest is what used to be Outback, which is what used to be All-American, which used to be whatever it was.
Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame, whatever it was. So pick those 18 and watch them. I've never understood the people that say there are too many bowl games. Doesn't make sense to me. And if you think there are too many, they aren't going anywhere with the numbers you just gave.
Okay, so 8 postseason or 8 playoff games we've had, one possession game. Of the 33 bowls, how many do you think were one possession games? And a handful of these were like, we had a 5 overtime, we had a 6 overtime.
I'm going to say 14.
20 of 33.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, you had really good bowl games and you've had really bad playoff games.
True confession for me, since Brown has admitted today that he hip-checked a kid at a pizza place.
Didn't get out of the way.
Yeah. I watched fewer bowl games this year than I ever have.
I may have as well. I'm not going to lie about that. I don't go out of my way to watch a bowl game. If I'm at home and it's something I have on.
Yeah, I'm more in first world problem here. I'm more of the sample, like they are on side TVs at all times. But as far as like volume up, completely 100% engaged.
Yeah,
I don't know if I was this year.
I watched the playoff games because they seem to be coming around more often. Every second of that, I watched the Alabama-Michigan game, partly because I get paid to watch the Alabama-Michigan game.
Yeah, that's about the only reason I watch it because it was an unwatchable product.
It was a pretty boring game.
Yeah,
and the rest of them, I didn't tune in a lot. Give
me the best bowl game you watched this year. Does one jump to mind?
Yeah, it was the 6 overtimes. Who was it?
It was the one in Ford Field, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Toledo-Pittsburgh.
Toledo-Pittsburgh. Yeah. That was probably the best. Now, the coaching in that game was baffling. I don't know what Pat Narduzzi was doing.
But that was a great game.
But that was a fantastic game. It was probably the best bowl game I watched.
Iowa State and Miami was really good.
It was a much better first half when Cam Ward was in there. When Cam Ward left, it lost a little bit.
Yeah.
But still was a fantastic ending.
No, it was a very fun
USC
game.
and A&M was great.
Yeah. That's one I watched a lot of, not all of it.
Yeah.
So bowl games are they are what they are. So,
but don't you think
ratings up?
Does that stat tell you that if we took the bowl games out of the playoffs, that those bowl games would be just fine?
If we took the
bowl games away and the playoffs were played primarily on campus.
Yeah, so even if you just had Rose Bowl, it was just less teams.
Whatever Big Ten team you have left and whoever else they can find to play in it.
Well, I want to make a point here about just the playoff games we just saw. The good ones, the Rose Bowl, the Sugar Bowl, and the Fiesta and the Peach. Only the Rose and the Sugar Bowl beat the SEC championship game in television ratings.
In fact,
the Fiesta and the Peach were behind the SEC championship
and
game.
The Rose Bowl number was way down from last year's Bama-Michigan game. Well, I shouldn't say way down, but it was a noticeable drop.
It was a drop.
Yeah, I think 3 million viewers, if I remember right.
Yeah, no, it was a beatdown.
It was, and that played into it. Alabama-Michigan, 2 huge national brands, a college football semifinal game that went to overtime. So it's probably unfair to even make a comparison, to your point. But I don't know. I just wonder, like, the Cotton Bowl wouldn't have as good a matchup. I mean, I guess the Cotton Bowl would have been something like Alabama and Michigan was, right? Or South Carolina and Illinois, something like that, or Ole Miss and Duke. It would be that level of game.
Cotton Bowl probably would have been Alabama and Indiana.
Maybe so.
I mean, 9 out of 10 years.
In the old 14 days.
Yeah.
Like the Cotton Bowl, it didn't have any significance on the national champion anyway.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much that really changes.
There's this push by the old school football people. We gotta include the bowl games. We gotta make sure these bowl games get saved. Which, by the way, I've never understood. I don't know why we're so loyal to the bowl games.
I'm going to speak. I personally like keeping the six bowls in this process. I'm okay with it.
I would have to say the first round of them was better attended than I thought it would be. I was wrong about that. I will say that.
I also will say, I say this now on the eve of the next 2 games at these bowl sites where there is some worry about some seats in the Orange Bowl and the Cotton Bowl.
Well, in the Cotton Bowl, the forecast has gotten better. I was looking at Walker in the MyBookie.ag chat room, who listens to or watches us every day from out in Dallas, and he's like, they are backing it down now to maybe 2 inches. So I don't think it's going to be too bad in Dallas.
Yeah. All right, before we talk NFL, a couple of great sponsors. Our friends at Hempville, while you're talking weather, cold temperatures. I hope you had the faucet dripping last night. The importance of keeping that water flowing through the pipes. If you have a burst pipe this morning when you wake up, or tomorrow morning, or the next morning, the person you call, our friends at Hempville, they're not just heating and cooling, they're plumbing too.
Yeah, since 1954, trust the name Birmingham is trusted for all of your plumbing, heating, and cooling issues. Whether it's your home or business, they are ready to serve. Adam, Chad, Andrew, hard to stop a train. For more information, hemphillservices.com.
And our friends at Urology Centers of Alabama, urologycentersalabama.com. 35 urologists, 16 locations, treating all your urological needs from prostate health to kidney stones, vasectomy. Hey, it's a new calendar. Maybe you think, when's the last time I had the checkup? Get that checkup. Stay on top of your health. You don't want something to occur after it's gotten a lot worse when you could have caught it early with our friends at Urology Centers of Alabama. 205-930-0920. Schedule appointments, 16 locations over Alabama, so there's one close to you. UrologyCentersAlabama.com. UrologyCentersAlabama.com. NFL playoffs start on Saturday, Sunday, Monday. A whole host of teams that are in there. LT, if I asked you how many teams in this NFL playoffs, they have to at least make the Super Bowl or win the Super Bowl for it to be a successful year or to satisfy their fan base? Super Bowl or bust for how many teams?
There are 5 teams that is Super Bowl or bust.
So this is just make it, not win the world championship.
Just make it.
All
There
right.
are 3 in the AFC and there's 2 in the NFC.
Okay.
And it's 1 through 3 in the AFC and it's 1 and 2 in the NFC.
So Chiefs, obviously, it's win it or it's a bad season because they're so used to winning.
The Bills, I know they have not been to a Super Bowl since 1991.
Yeah, you got to win one.
Or excuse me, 19. Was that right?
92?
No, 94 against
They
Dallas.
went.
Dallas.
Yeah, 91, 92, 93, 94.
Yeah.
It's hard to believe that was their last Super Bowl, by the way.
But the way the Bills are playing right now as the 2 seed, hosting a rookie quarterback, it's Super Bowl or bust for the Bills.
And then it's Baltimore because they have knocked on that door so many times.
Yeah, and Lamar Jackson, the one knock, the one kryptonite has been the postseason, and now you've got Derrick Henry, kind of a guy that can close a game for you. So there's no excuses for Baltimore. So those 3 teams, Kansas City going for the three-peat, Buffalo going for their first ever, Baltimore going for their first since Joe Flacco.
I do wonder, though, and I'm not saying this team is good enough that they should be thinking that way. I just wonder if the Steelers fan base, like just making an AFC championship game. No, I'm not saying they're good. I'm just saying that fan base, all they've done is win championships over the years.
I think it's a smart fan base that realizes that they've lost 4 consecutive games
and they suck
they're
at
not
quarterback.
good.
And their offense is awful.
But he's got 5 that it's make it to the Super Bowl or win it or it's disappointment.
Right.
I think if Pittsburgh wins a game, they're satisfied.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
If they were to upset the Ravens and
That's
FU
part
to the
of it.
Ravens again.
That's part of it, is that you're beating your division rival and ruining it for them.
Now, I understand Detroit, right? Because you've knocked on the door and this is your time, because there's a good chance that Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn may not be there as your coordinators next year. They seem to be the big, the big Oz behind the curtain for this team. It appears to be. They're pulling all the strings.
Well, and look, last year you went to an NFC Championship game. You had that game in hand. You absolutely had a second half meltdown. San Francisco ultimately wins that game.
Now you get it at home.
But now you've tasted it. You've got everything at Ford Field. You watched the game on Sunday night against Minnesota. That place was electric. I know you've got defensive injuries, but the way you ended up playing in the fourth quarter of that game, solidifying the 1 seed, I think it is Super Bowl or bust for Detroit.
So your 5th one is Philadelphia?
Oh, yeah.
It's Super Bowl or bust? They got to get there or not?
Yeah, because there are still people that believe Philadelphia because, and what's the latest on Jalen? It's whether he practices today, from what I hear.
I saw that he was at practice today.
Yeah.
Oh, he's going to play. He's going to play.
I'll look it up.
Yeah.
Well, if he doesn't play, they've got issues.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of people that believe that they're a lot healthier right now than Detroit.
All the NFL people are talking about this Bill Belichick story right now, so I got to dig through that.
A Philadelphia team that was in the Super Bowl just a couple of years ago. So, yeah, I think for Philadelphia fans, if you ask any of them, it is win the NFC or bust.
I want to ask you about one other team. I was trying to find that update I saw on Nick Sirianni. According to Mike Garofalo of the NFL Network, Nick Sirianni says Jalen Hurts will practice today. That was 18 minutes ago.
Yeah.
And he will play.
And they've got all the faith in him. I saw that comment that he can do everything they want to do. I love Jalen Hurts. I'm not sold that he can get them to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Well, he's done it before.
Yeah. I'm not sold he can
do
get
it
him to
again.
the Super Bowl this year. This
That
this
is
version of him.
As a Rams fan, the one team I don't want to play is Philadelphia. They just don't match up well with Philadelphia.
It's a matchup situation.
Yeah.
See, I'm excited to play Philadelphia. I would. It's been the biggest. If you get Philadelphia for Tampa Bay, that's been the biggest matchup of the wild card weekend of all time. I would love a chance to play Philadelphia.
Let me ask you, why not Minnesota?
Look, Minnesota's never won a Super Bowl.
Four they've been to, then they are 0-4. They're like the Bills. They're 0-4. Yeah.
Same as the Bills.
Yeah, and so Case Keenum had them in an NFC Championship game when Nick Foles ended up winning a Super Bowl. What was that, 17? And then in 1998, obviously the missed kick against the Falcons, where they don't go to the Super Bowl. I don't know. Minnesota's a good team. I think if they would have gotten the 1 seed, I would have put them in this category. But based on the fact that now they've got to go to SoFi, a game they lost by double digits earlier this year, and if they win there's a good chance they've got a rematch with Detroit, in Detroit again. So I just think the road is a little too difficult. And you've got Sam Darnold, who's your probably comeback player of the year.
I don't know how he's not.
Do you really believe that Sam Darnold's going to go from a guy that has never won a playoff game, never started a playoff game, to a guy that's going to win 4?
Yeah, it looked like the moment was too big for him Sunday night. Under a lot of pressure, made a lot of bad throws. That's what you would expect to get in an NFL NFC playoff
Of
game.
these 14 coaches, how many do you think have winning records in the postseason?
Oh, I know Reed does, 100%. I would guess Sirianni does.
Todd Bowles does not, because Bruce Arians won the playoff game.
I've got their numbers. I went through and did it all this morning.
Sean Payton does. So I would go Sean Payton, Andy Reid, Nick Sirianni.
I think Mike Tomlin is probably
By the
falling
way,
back
Nick
to the
Sirianni
500 line.
Nick Sirianni does not have a winning record in the postseason.
Dude's been to a Super Bowl, and he's only been there for...
But he won it 2 games to get to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, he's 2-3.
Yeah.
2-3?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, then Sean Payton and Andy Reid are the ones I would confidently say.
I'd say Matt Campbell. Is that his name? Detroit. Dan Campbell.
Dan Campbell. He does not.
He's got a winning record. He's 2-1.
He's 2-1.
Yeah.
What about? The Bills.
McVay does, because he's been to 2 Super Bowls and won 1.
McVay is 7-4.
Yep.
Okay.
Andy Reid is not even
close.
close.
Andy Reid's easy.
Andy Reid is 26-16 in the postseason.
It's incredible.
Now he's had 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks.
Sean Payton, does he have a winning record?
Sean Payton is 9-8.
So barely.
Yeah. Got in under the wire on that one. And then you get to Sean McDermott. I'm going to say Sean McDermott's 500. I'm going to say he does not have a winning record.
You win 1 or 2 games to get to those AFC Championship games, and then that's 1 loss. So,
but they keep winning the division.
I'm going to say he's 6-4, something like that.
He's 5-6.
5-6. Yeah, I figured right around 500 for him.
Is Tomlin losing record now, or 500?
I would imagine he's close to it.
Tomlin is 8-10.
Yeah.
These one and dones.
Yeah, it's misleading, but if you finish your career as a 500 coach in the postseason, you've had a heck of a career.
And that's why it goes back to Ryan Day. He's 4-6 against top 5s, but if he closes the deal here, he's 6-6, which is great. So I'll run through it. Andy Reid 26-16, Dan Campbell 2-1, Sirianni 2-3. Sean McDermott 5-6, John Harbaugh 12-10.
Oh yeah, okay. I forgot about
John
Todd
Harbaugh.
Bowles 1-2, D'Amico Ryans 1-1, Sean McVay 7-4, Jim Harbaugh 5-3.
Yeah.
Kevin O'Connell 0-1, Mike Tomlin 8-10, Dan Quinn 3-2.
Surprising winning record for Dan Quinn. Yeah.
Sean Payton 9-8, and Matt LaFleur 3-4. Only 4 of the coaches have winning records that have coached in more than 10 postseason games, and that is Sean Payton, Sean McVay, Andy Reid, and John Harbaugh.
We would have guessed all day before I got to Dan Quinn. He would have been my last
Of
guess.
the quarterbacks of the 14, how many have winning records in the postseason?
Well, you can eliminate a couple real quick. Nix and Jaden Daniels have never even been in a postseason.
Well, Mahomes does.
Mahomes has to.
I would say Allen does.
I would say Stafford does.
I would say Stafford does now.
Allen does not. Allen is 5-5. Stafford does not. Stafford is 4-4. Both are 500.
Jeez, then it's going to be really tough.
I would say Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts.
I tell you a sneaky one that might's Jared Goff.
Jared Goff does have a winning record. He's 5-4. Jalen Hurts 2-3.
Oh,
like Sirianni.
Jeez, it's harder than the coaches.
There's only three quarterbacks of the 14 that have winning records.
Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson is one at 9-7. I mentioned Jared Goff at 5-4.
He'll retire with the winning record in the playoffs.
This is the stat that blows me away, and I know we know this stat, but do you know what Mahomes' record is in the postseason?
It's embarrassing.
It's crazy.
How many games? Give me the games.
18 games.
18 games. I would guess in 18 games, Mahomes is, I would say 15-3.
I was going to 15-3.
He's 15-3.
Yeah, I mean that's insane.
I mean that's crazy when you think about the next best record is 9-7 with Russell Wilson.
Yeah,
he's had a really good career.
I will always love January of 2021. That was a very lucky win for the Buccaneers over Mahomes.
But how many of these?
You're right.
How many of these quarterbacks do you really trust?
Well, definitely Mahomes.
I trust Mahomes.
I'd say I trust Josh Allen, but they never get to the Super Bowl for some reason. I mean, I don't know. I don't know that it's always his fault.
And Lamar Jackson's fantastic.
I know,
you can't trust him in the postseason.
Yeah.
But
he's 2-4.
Of everybody that's in the playoffs, though, I'd rather go to battle with Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson than I would some of those guys.
Oh, 100%, especially where they are in their career. Like Russell Wilson in the past, I'd take him, not where he is right now.
No, I think when you look in the AFC,
if you're doing the power rankings, I mean, you're going to put Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson pretty high for just this year. Forget their history because of what they can do.
How would you stack the NFC quarterbacks, though? There's only one with a winning record, and that's Jared Goff.
So I've got Goff and Love.
You've got Goff, Love, Hurts, Jaden Daniels, Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, and Matt Stafford.
I think I would take Stafford, Goff, Love. See, I want to take Daniels in front of Baker Mayfield, but Daniels has never even quarterbacked a playoff game.
Yeah,
but boy, I like it.
I think you've got your top three right, though.
Yeah,
I'm
confident about those.
I would go Stafford, Goff, and Love.
Yeah, I'm confident about those. It's once you get past that this is really hard.
Yeah, because I don't know what Sam Darnold's going to show up.
I mean,
so you guys are putting Stafford number one over Goff.
Yes.
Oh, I would.
Yes.
Okay. Would you not?
With the people around him, or just if he's quarterbacking
I'd go either way.
An evenly distributed team.
Either one.
Well, if there's a quarterback that is going to win games for you, like I think Goff is good, but he does have a ton around him. But I mean, Stafford's one of these. If he gets on a roll, watch out. Now that offense has been so inconsistent this year, so I don't really expect to see that. But we saw Stafford go on that roll in 2021.
Yeah,
I would take. He may win a game in these playoffs. I would take Darnold dead last.
I think I would too.
I think I would take Hurts dead last.
I've seen Hurts in a Super Bowl.
I think
that's the thing.
I think you guys may have Baker a little high.
I didn't have Baker in yet. I said I might take Jaden Daniels in front of him.
Yeah, I would have Hurts and Darnold behind Baker. It's Baker and Jaden somewhere there close together. We'll see.
Would you have Bo Nix in front of C.J. Stroud and Russell Wilson?
I would have Bo Nix ahead of Russell Wilson for sure.
Maybe not C.J. Stroud. That guy, he at least quarterbacks in postseason games last year.
And Justin Herbert, I mean, he's never won a postseason game. Yeah, C.J. Stroud's 1-1.
Yeah.
Bo's a good fit for where he's at right now. Fun weekend ahead in the National Football League. Show being brought to you by our friends at New York Butcher Shop. One more thing before we take a break here. Tell us about New York Butcher.
Yeah, stop in and see Jim and the fine folks, the New York Butcher Shop, the original location, Caba Heights, Highway 119 in Greystone. Maybe you're just looking for a big-time lunch, those huge deli sandwiches. He's got the sandwich station. You can go and you can build it yourself. They've got some great go-tos there, from the fresh meats to the specialty items, great catering options, fine selection of great wines and desserts, rare quality, well-done service. Stop in, see Jim and the guys. Tell them the next round sent you. It's the New York Butcher Shop.
Antonio Pierce fired yesterday by the Raiders. Tom Brady will have a heavy influence on who the next head coach is with the Raiders. And then there's the Bill Belichick story that everyone seems to be following out there. What is that, Brownie?
It is Tom Pelissero of the NFL Network.
Who's up right now on TV2.
And I bet he's talking about this up on TV2. Here's the headline, his tweet to his story. Multiple NFL teams have inquired about whether legendary coach Bill Belichick would reconsider his move to college football, including the Raiders, whose new minority owner, Tom Brady, spoke recently with his old coach per league sources. I've not had time to read the entire article, but the way people are reacting to the article that Tom Pelissero has written for the NFL Network, it makes it sound as if Brady's trying to convince Belichick to come coach the Raiders.
Yeah.
I don't know how you do it.
Well, this would bother me.
He's done this before, by the way, in the NFL.
I do think Brady
did this with the New York Jets.
That's right.
Yeah, but Brady and Belichick, we remember that. They've got a tight enough relationship that could Brady not have floated him a conversation? Hey, look, completely off record, there is a really good chance, 99%, that Antonio Pierce is going to be gone, and I want you to be our guy. Don't take any other job right now.
It seems like you could do that. If Brady hates him, he could be trying to lure him into a bad situation and then hit him over the head and say, just kidding.
If I'm Belichick, I'm just staying put. Like, nobody in the NFL wanted me. I was toxic last year. It seemed like nobody was going to touch me this year, and I take a job, and now people want me.
But I go back to that contract he's got at North Carolina. And what was the date, Brown, on that contract? Was it January 14th?
No, I thought it was into June. I thought it was this summer. Yeah.
I thought it was in January, that on January the buyout dropped to like $5 million
or maybe
something.
$5. It drops to $1 million, I think, in June.
An NFL job
from
that North Carolina contract.
Well, let me ask you this.
Boy, I would tell him what I told Dennis Franchione before he got on the Texas A&M plane in Tuscaloosa. And I happened to get a phone call from Fran saying, hey, I'm about to...
you were standing right outside the Jock studio. I remember you taking the call.
And he says, what do you think? They're here. I just want to go talk to them. And I said, dude, if you get on that plane, you can't come back.
You better have the job.
You can't come back.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be reported that you got on that plane to go talk to Texas A&M, and nobody is the head coach at Alabama that goes talks to somebody else and then comes back and is the coach at Alabama. So if you get on the plane, you better take the job. And he got on the plane and took the job. But it's...
I don't know that
if I'm North Carolina...
I don't know that I fire him, but boy, I've burned up any good capital I had.
Well, if you start floating it around, and especially if you start spinning to me now that your son's going to hang around and be the head coach at North Carolina, that's going to really piss me off.
So if you are a Raiders fan, though, would you rather have Ben Johnson?
Ben Johnson.
Yep.
I think I would too.
Yep, Ben Johnson
or Aaron Glenn.
Aaron Glenn, man, that guy, what he's done with such a depleted roster has been remarkable.
What he did the other night to scheme up Minnesota was tremendous. By the way, the Cowboys blocked Mike McCarthy, who they've got until January 14th to decide if they want to coach him to be the coach again with the Cowboys. His contract runs out in a few days. They blocked him to keep him from interviewing with Chicago, who seemed to really be interested in him being their coach.
Such a childish move.
This is Jerry.
If you're Jerry Jones, though, because
it
here's
is
the
if
thing.
you don't keep him now.
No, but
absolutely.
But you should have known by now if you want Mike McCarthy, right? Like this season, it went to hell once you lost Dak Prescott. So at that point, Jerry Jones knew that there was no chance you were going to the postseason. You had plenty of time, months to evaluate the situation, and now that another organization's calling on him, Mike McCarthy doesn't know what his future is. Why would he not interview with Chicago if you don't know if you're going to get another contract with Dallas?
100%. By the way, for you guys starting maybe to bet future bets, David Montgomery looks like he'll be back for the Lions in time for their first playoff game. They've got the bye this week. That's great news for the Lions there as they try to get whole. When we come back, we've got trash and some final college football thoughts before we get out of here today. On the show that's brought to you by our friends at Champy's Chicken, Highway 119 in Alabaster. Nothing's better on a cold, wintry day in January than rolling down to Champy's on Highway 119 in Alabaster and getting a hot meal. That fried chicken's brined overnight, cooked to order so it comes out piping hot. All the great handmade sides. The Mississippi Delta recipe tamales, it's got just enough kick in them to make them the best tamales you'll ever taste. All the other stuff, po' boys, chicken fingers, it's champyschchicken.com.
Follow Scott Forrester on Twitter at ScottForresterTV.
Hey, there's nothing worse than waking up to a plumbing problem. Don't get caught in a flooded house. Call the guys at Hemphill Services. Adam, Chad, and the team at Hemphill are the only ones I trust to fix it and fix it right the first time. Hemphill Services does it right and always at a fair price. For all of your plumbing, cooling, and heating needs, trust the name that Birmingham has trusted since 1954. That is Hemphill Services. Call now, 205-229-2090. That's 205-229-2090.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, you're in the red zone for every college rivalry and divisional matchup all season long. I mean, where else are the scenic views as good as your view of the game? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
This hour of The Next Round is presented by the Birmingham Racecourse Casino, now featuring 7 days of giveaways with your chance to win a share of up to $125,000. The more you visit the Birmingham Racecourse Casino, the more chances you have to win.
Just because you've quit going to the gym, it doesn't mean that you have to quit gym altogether. Dunaway, that is. With our Next Round podcasts open 24/7, 365, you can access Jim anytime you'd like. While you may have done away with your treadmill routine, our version of Dunaway is standing by ready to get you back to your absolute best. Find all that lovely Jimmy D-led content on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and in the podcast section of nextroundlive.com. This message is sponsored by Jimmy Crypto Inc. and Jimmy Crypto for President.
From the creators of The Next Round comes two new sites, covercrimson.com and thebarnauburn.com. Two team sites with the same excitement and information-driven content that you get every day on The Next Round. Live daily shows, recorded shows, free of charge, plus premium content with insider information starting at just $1. And it's the perfect gift for the Alabama or Auburn fan in your family. Covercrimson.com or thebarnauburn.com. Sign up today.
Happy football season. At The Next Round, we strive to make our loyal listeners feel like they're a part of the action all season long. My name is Emily Grace McWhorter, and I do that by bringing you along for any given Saturday in Auburn or Tuscaloosa. From pregame warm-ups, touchdowns that make you feel a part of the play, and everything in between, our goal is to make you feel like you're inside Bryant-Denny or Jordan-Hare. Follow along on our social media at Next Round Live on Instagram, X, and Facebook. Also, check out thebarnauburn.com and covercrimson.com while you're at it. Here's to fall Saturdays.
From the creators of The Next Round comes two new sites, covercrimson.com and thebarnauburn.com. Two team sites with the same excitement and information-driven content that you get every day on The Next Round. Live daily shows, recorded shows, free of charge, plus premium content with insider information starting at just $1. And it's the perfect gift for the Alabama or Auburn fan in your family. Covercrimson.com or thebarnauburn.com. Sign up today.
Follow Next Round Live on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. The social media team at Next Round Live is dedicated to giving you daily news conferences and practice video from UAB, Alabama, Auburn, and around college football. Follow and compare to the sites you used to visit. You'll also get the latest highlights and news from the Next Round Daily Show. Turn on the notifications so you don't miss a thing. Next Round Live on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. See more at nextroundlive.com. Want more of the show? Download the app or visit nextroundlive.com for the latest podcast, The Mystery Fifth Hour, our Not For All Ages podcast, The Last Call, and the entire Double Down Media podcast family. All at nextroundlive.com and on the Next Round app.
Back with you on The Next Round. Before we get to trash here, some movement in college football. Well, I mentioned Georgia getting receiver help. I mentioned Keon Sabb returning to Alabama. The Nick Kelly story that Jason Jones could be on his way to being on the Kalen DeBoer staff over there, former Alabama player, would fill into that DB slot. South Carolina got Rashul Faison, running back out of Utah State, 1,100-yard guy. That's pretty big, but not as big as what is happening at Oregon. Mekhi Hughes, running back from Tulane, is going to Oregon. 2,700 yards, 14 of that last year. 24 touchdowns, 15 of that last year. And he's got 2 years of eligibility left going from Tulane to Oregon. That kid can play football.
Oh, he can play. I remember Forster won a lot of Saturday DraftKings because Hughes was on that roster. He put up massive numbers. But I go back to John Summerall, deciding not to take a job like Carolina to stay at Tulane. And look,
it may come open again.
That's admirable, yeah. But you can't, at Tulane, you can't keep guys like Mensah and Hughes. You can't. And that's the unfortunate thing if you're a guy like John Summerall.
Evan Stewart, the big receiver from Texas A&M to Oregon, he decides to stay at Oregon for another year.
Non-factor, just like he was in College Station.
Oh, so you don't think he's a good
I think he's got a lot of talent, but, talking to some Texas A&M people at SEC Media Days about the loss with him going to Dan Lanning in Oregon, they were like, look, this guy's prima donna. It's never going to work out. And, I mean, we watched him at Oregon. He had, I think, 1 or 2 impactful games, and that was it.
Just some familiar names that you're familiar with. Hence, familiar names. Arkansas lands DB Caleb Wooden, who was at Auburn. UAB safety Adrian Maddox, who had left and committed to Florida, actually signs with Georgia.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
good for him.
He was on the Florida-Georgia line there and ends up picking Georgia, the safety from UAB there. Boston College and Bill O'Brien lands Alabama tight end Ty Lockwood, who had come into Tuscaloosa with some high expectations. And poor Hank Brown of Iowa, former Auburn guy, his path to QB1 got a little tougher last night. South Dakota State's Mark Gronkowski decides he's going to Iowa. Highly regarded player from South Dakota State who had that team, the Jackrabbits, playing great FCS football. Likely going to be the starter, beat out Hank Brown at Iowa.
But is this not one of these questions you ask if you're a Hank Brown?
Am I the guy?
Yeah, like, are you bringing anybody else in? Like, who are other guys on this radar? Because, once you're in and then somebody else comes in and it looks like, this kid might be at least the favorite in the clubhouse.
Yeah, I think there was very little path to the field for Hank Brown. I mean, if you did not get playing time in this year's offense, significant playing time.
He got his opportunity.
You got your opportunity. You couldn't keep it. Your path to the field at Auburn, but you could have gone to a place where you get on the field easier than Iowa in that case.
But he probably has a better chance of beating out the South Dakota State guy than he does Jackson Arnold and the big 4-star Deuce Knight coming in, or 5-star, whichever he is, that's coming in.
Oh, I think Hugh told him, hey, look,
have fun somewhere else.
Yeah. Amari Jefferson, the Alabama receiver to Tennessee. He's got 4 years of eligibility left. And former Alabama linebacker Ja'Shawn Ross to Kansas State. That's your player movement.
Also, Jeremiah Alexander to Clemson from Alabama. But good news for Alabama, Pete Thamel is currently reporting that Jeremy Bernard has decided to return to Tuscaloosa. So
I already counted that as a given, but I'm glad it's official now.
Apparently it was not. I guess his only option, the portal has closed. He could have hit the portal, or I guess tried the NFL. Which,
do you think
that's a good keep for Bama?
You get some of these former Alabama, Auburn, LSU guys on the cheap. So they come out as 4 or 5 stars. You have to pay them whatever the amount is. Then they don't play, but you figure, hey, look, at one time they were really good. They're kind of a project now. But you think you get them for pennies on the dollar?
Well, I do think that I just in recent years.
Because one of the guys you mentioned, I heard what he was asking for.
Yeah, Amari Jefferson.
Well, I'll tell you guys in break, but I was just blown away.
But I would tell you that if I'm another school, though, if I'm going to go shopping, I don't mind picking from the Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State rosters this year. That's going to change. But this year, those 3 rosters, I don't mind picking. Trash is brought to you by Mortgage Right. Tyler, if you will, do you have that wheel in front of you?
He does.
Can you hit it? Double punch.
Reporters have been saying some pretty nasty things about Western Pennsylvania lately.
The way I felt earlier.
And I couldn't agree with them more. I couldn't disagree with you. I couldn't agree with you more than the fact that
LT's Trash is presented by Mortgage Right. Mortgages done the right way.
Have you ever heard somebody that tongue-tied?
I mean, that's a guy. John McCain did a lot of speeches. To get that tongue-tied is pretty remarkable. I mean, he was in a mess, wasn't he?
Our Trash brought to you by the mortgage experts, our friends at Mortgage Right. It is buying season. Our friends at Mortgage Right here to help. Veteran founded here in Birmingham, offer loans throughout the country while the area they serve may have grown. Their commitment to Birmingham veterans has not changed. Before you take the next steps on a new home purchase or refinance, talk with the team at Mortgage Right. No cost or obligation to find out what you qualify for. You get more information, go to their website, mortgageright.com, or call that 280 office, 205-900-7200, NMLS 2239, equal housing lender. Sounds like me robbing a bank. A Colorado man allegedly attempted to rob a bank but left with nothing after handing a note to a teller who was unable to read what he had written.
Oh, sir, you just have to say it. I can't read this.
Now, the incident happened shortly before 5 p.m. on December 17th at the First National Bank in Loveland, Colorado.
I mean, this is about as good a security camera shot as you're ever going to get on a guy.
You're going to love this. Police said the man walked into the bank, handed the teller a note. Teller, however, had a difficult time reading the note since it was almost completely what am I looking for here?
Illegible?
Yeah.
Illegible?
Man quickly grew frustrated as the teller was struggling to read, so he quickly left the bank. This picture, this description, they still have not found the guy.
I mean, my gosh, it's basically an Olin Mills portrait. I mean, it's as close up as I've ever seen a security camera shot. And it's clear.
But how many old, bald, white guys do you guys know? Well, I mean, other than me.
But if you give her the note, though, and she can't read it, don't you just say, hey, look, you might be able to read this. Let's put all the big bills in the bag, no die packs.
Yeah. I'm robbing the bank.
Yes.
Give me all your money.
I would say that he probably has some fingerprints on that note at some point. We should be able to find the guy.
December 31st, 41-year-old Octavia Wells sent a text message intending to purchase fentanyl before leaving town. However, her message landed in the inbox of a narcotics investigator with the Bay County Sheriff's Office.
I'm going to say it looked like she got it before she got arrested.
Might have had a sample.
Yeah. She drinking the purple stuff.
My Lord, at that hairstyle.
Now, seizing the opportunity, the investigator engaged Wells in conversation, masquerading as a drug dealer, arranged a meeting to facilitate the supposed drug transaction. Oblivious to the unfolding events, Wells proceeded to a gas station, anticipating a rendezvous with her perceived dealer. To her surprise, instead of encountering a drug dealer, Wells was met by a team of investigators from the Special Investigations Division. Tables had turned. Wells found herself in a predicament she had not bargained for. She was apprehended and charged with several offenses.
Brown, as soon as she walks into your sorority over there at Aliceville, do they initially nickname her Medusa?
We are going to need to see if there's contraband in that hair. Yeah. I mean, that's going to be step one there.
What I want to know is, how does she fix her hair in the morning? What's that process?
I would say it's not a daily process. I'm going to say that's monthly.
And I'm going to say there's not a lot of consistency.
Then how do you sleep?
Yeah. Well, if you look at her eyes, I'm not sure she has been.
Standing up, apparently.
A lot.
Yes.
I mean, I think the fentanyl will help with that.
Yeah. I mean, maybe she loved going to Disney as a kid, and she wanted that hairstyle.
Maybe.
MIC.
She kept the mouse ears for life.
A little off kilter for me.
It's not Takeo Spikes. She's got about an 18-inch neck, though.
She does.
Let me ask you, which height do you go by? Do you go by 5'4" or do you go 5'11"?
I mean, that is straight up Fletch.
It's 5'4", 5'11" with the afro.
Update here. For 2 weeks, 1977 sailboat. Sat on the shores of New Smyrna Beach, becoming an unlikely focal point for locals and tourists alike.
Today in Volusia County news.
Now, the boat quickly became a local attraction, but as time passed, it turned more into a nuisance. One visitor said, quote, "It's not like it was out there, anchored like a nice sailboat. It was an eyesore." Yeah. Now, the owner had battled rough waters, going back to the original story a few weeks ago. Pushed it ashore. He was quoted over $20,000 to remove the boat, but he couldn't afford it, so he put it up for sale for just $1. The $1 price tag had people talking, but no serious buyers came forward. Left with no other option, the owner surrendered the boat to Volusia County. On Monday morning, county officials began dismantling the boat, hauling it off the beach piece by piece. County officials stated the boat could have been harmful to both the beach and ocean. In an email, they said that the concern of the vessel breaking its anchor lines during a future storm or tidal event caused additional concern, as it would result in potential leaks or scattering hazardous debris along the beach.
I agree. Can't leave it there.
You remember the story about the beach swell, and they could never figure out what to do with it, so they just put explosives in it, and they put too much in there, and pieces of the well were dropping through people's roofs.
I don't remember that, but
it was somewhere
awesome.
Up on the East Coast,
through the roofs, it broke holes in the roof.
Yeah. I mean, that's well blubber is pretty heavy when it's coming down at that speed.
Oh, I bet.
I guess that was an option on this. You just blow it up into pieces and let everything wash out to the ocean.
You have to do it right, or that big mass there is going to become at that point just a spear.
Now, look,
that will go through.
We all saw Castaway, and it was really tough for him to get off the island because of the current and the waves that were coming in.
Right.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem like this would be that difficult, does it?
It doesn't. I don't know what the other side looks like, but I, as a kid who grew up, the reruns of Gilligan's Island, I never understood. I was always like, that one hole doesn't look that big. We can get off this island if we just fix this boat.
Look,
we're going to make a radio out of a coconut first.
We are far from sailors, right?
Yeah,
but it seems like if you saw a group of, college kids drinking a bunch of beer and you're like, hey, I'll buy you a case if 4 of you guys get on one side, 4 get on the other side, and let's just push this thing out.
Well, I'm telling you, the other side may look like Michael Strahan's 2 front teeth. There may be a big gap in between it.
I did not know where you were going there.
Yeah, I'm just saying that there may be a big hole on the other side.
We've got another update, old trash story. Do you guys remember the Alabama man who stripped off his clothes and decided to do a cannonball naked into the Bass Pro Shops aquarium?
I do. Was it the one over in Leeds?
It's a big fish, Forster. Big fish.
Yeah.
Good for him. He needed a salmon.
Yeah, I think so.
Rolling on the river.
Was it the Leeds or the?
It was the Leeds.
It was the Leeds one. Okay.
So he pleaded guilty to several criminal counts, has been accepted into a pretrial diversion program that could result in dismissal of charges according to court records. Now, George Owens is the man that you see shielded by the fish there, 43 years old, was arrested in January after he caused a disturbance and then fought with the police at the sporting goods outlet in Leeds. After intentionally crashing his Chevy pickup truck with his wife and 6-year-old son inside into a light pole outside of the retailer, Owens then, quote, stripped naked, ran into the store, jumped into the aquarium. Offender began then to yell obscene language at customers and police. Owens eventually tumbled out of the aquarium. While being handcuffed, he began to fight with officers. Owens kicked one of the officers in the testicles.
No. In the testicle.
Police estimated that Owens caused $3,500 in damages to the light pole, $5,000 in damages to a police transport vehicle. Owens' wife told police she believed he was having a, quote, mental episode.
I would say.
Owens, who claimed he had taken a lot of drugs that he found in his garage, initially declined to explain why he jumped into the aquarium. He went on to say, quote, if I told you guys, you would just put me in the loony house. He later cited religious reasons for the naked frolic.
What religion was that?
I don't know.
As a Christian, I have never once
wanted to frolic at a Bass Pro Shop.
Frolic naked in the
I wonder how cold that
tank.
water is in that aquarium.
Yeah, according to that fish, not very.
Do you remember the video, though? He throws himself over the front and just, like, you could hear him, pow, hit the ground.
See, I thought this was a couple of years ago when somebody did this.
Oh, it's been a couple of years ago. Yeah. I think it was while we were, it was a story here, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I was still an intern when that story happened.
Admission, I've never been inside that Bass Pro Shop.
I've been once or twice. Took the kids there Christmas a couple years ago.
Yeah, you go sit on Santa's lap. If you got a kid, Santa makes a visit there. So
Scott doesn't play Santa ever, does he?
Who?
This guy.
That old cat? No, I don't think so. No, I got not enough gray in that beard.
That's trash brought to you by our friends at Mortgage Right.
Yeah, if you're looking for a new home, our friends at Mortgage Right here to help. Remember, whether you're looking for your final home, first home, whether you have a big down payment or need 100% financing, Mortgage Right, one-stop shop for mortgages, 205-900-7200 or mortgageright.com.
All right, the Golfist is a great place. We were talking about the TGL last night, the virtual golf.
And this is like that.
This is like that. Now, look, that is a probably not $1 billion arena, but tens of millions of dollars. You get close to that at the Golfist, though. It is a fantastic place to go. 2 Birmingham locations, soon to be 3, already open Highway 31 in Vestavia, and just off on Van Road, just off Highway 11 in Trussville. That is where you find the Golfist. Listen, it's a great place for your office meetings. Get out of the office, get in the Golfist. It's a great place for your couple showers, your parties, just hanging out with the guys, up to 50. They can accommodate up to 50 in a party. Bring your own food, bring your own drink, bring your own golf clubs, and play at the Golfist. It is Birmingham's best golf simulators, and it is always 70 degrees, never any rain, never any wind. You can't say that outside right now in Birmingham. So go see the Golfist. Book a bay. Learn more at thegolfist.com. Thegolfist.com.
Perfect this time of year if you're a golfer that maybe plays 2 times a week. Just get out there and play a little golf. All right, some final thoughts before we get out of here today. Don't forget Alabama basketball in action tonight. They play against South Carolina. In that contest, the guy to watch for South Carolina is forward Colin Murray Boyles. He'll be a guy you'll have to focus on. He's their best scorer in the contest tonight. Alabama at mybookie.ag. Brownie's still roughly a 10.5 favorite.
Yeah, let me update it real quick, and I'll tell you. It was 10, bounced up to 10.5. So that's kind of where it's been hanging around. I think you can probably count on Alabama going off as a small double-digit favorite in this game. Right now at 10.5, Alabama is favored over South Carolina.
Urban Meyer has entered the chat of people saying the SEC dominance is over. 2 years now in a row of a Big Ten champion, and he says, and with what's happened so far this year, Urban Meyer believes the SEC dominance of the sport is over. Urban had a hand in the dominance to start. In fact, he was at the beginning in 2006 and 2008, and then Nick Saban took over. Gene Chizik had one, some others along the way, but Urban sort of started that run of the dominance of the SEC in college football. He says it's over with now. It's 2 years, but we may be pouring the concrete over the old grave here a little quick this year with Texas.
And look, I understand that Michigan won a national championship last year, Let's not forget, Alabama was a play away from winning that game, and they would have beaten Washington. And Texas can still, as you said, win this thing this year. Even if they don't, even if Texas loses, we get an all Big Ten national championship with Penn State and Ohio State, or Notre Dame and Ohio State. I think we got to wait a couple of years before we say this,
I
right?
agree. Of course, whoever wins it, not Notre Dame, because they're not in a conference, is not going to be a conference champion. I mean, Notre Dame isn't either. But whoever wins it, not Notre Dame, is going to be able to say, look at our conference, so strong, our conference champion. The team that won the national championship couldn't even win our conference.
Yeah, right. By the way, James Franklin took a shot on the podium at Notre Dame for not being in a conference.
He did. He said every team should be in a conference. I mean, he also said, and I'm sure this happened during the show, Scott will probably have it for us tomorrow, like, hey, I was in the SEC. It was unanimous vote against 9 games. And then he went on to say, which is different from the Big Ten talking points, I'm not a math major, but having 9 in the Big Ten makes this more difficult. Basically saying the SEC got it right staying at 8 games.
Alabama quarterback Keelan Russell, he's got a multi-year partnership with Panini of America. They're doing a bunch of partnerships in NIL with players, and this is Keelan Russell's first big one. Panini America, there it is there. He's on campus, and that's his first NIL deal.
Bryce, that was one of his big deals, Bryce Young, when he was at Alabama.
So there you go. They're keeping that train running there in college football. Panini America, thank you for supporting our local athletes. All right, after the Alabama game tonight on our video platform, Taylor and I will jump on with a little post-game. If you want our Auburn reaction, it is still up there for you. Bama and Bourbon is up. Really interesting stuff with Aaron Suttles and Lance Taylor on Everything Alabama. It's on our video platform. Make sure to set your alerts always so you know when the next program has dropped for you. The Meltdown today live at 2 o'clock Central Time. Until next time, God bless you and God bless America.